For what? Where do they think I'm going?
Good, good. I wanted a microphone that allowed me to film from 4 rooms away. Hi jerks, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Natalie Megan and this is Weirdo Book Club. And I didn't mean it when I called you a jerk. I'm sorry, I'm just a little on edge because today we will be discussing book 2 in the Cat and Mouse duet by H.D. Carlton, Hunting Adeline. Maybe you've heard of it. As some of you know, I have already read, reviewed, and ultimately regretted Haunting Adeline, book 1 in this duet. Also, as a treat for y'all getting me to 5,000 subs, I read the prequel novella Satan's Affair, both of which are terrible. Spoiler alert, I didn't like either. I have full reviews of them up on my channel. I worked really hard on them, so the views and the engagement would be really nice. However, I don't think it would add any context to any of this story because this story is stupid. So, do what you want. The first book, and Satan's Affair, honestly, but really the first book that was almost 600 pages of bullshit. It was one of the biggest projects I've ever tackled to date on this channel. It was almost 3 hours long, the final review. It got me into the YouTube partner program, and the irony is not lost on me that the same video that got me in got demonetized a few weeks later, and then I had to go back and edit and make it a little bit more ad-friendly for everybody. You live, you learn. What have I learned? Well, I've learned that you hate me. I'm just kidding. You love to watch me suffer and holler through these terrible books. Here I am doing it again. Woo! And I have a list of people to blame. I mean thank. So thank you, Rachel, Becca, Kat, Adam, Stephanie, BJ, Tag, Beth, Ren, Sarah, Cade, Caitlin, Leilani, Rebecca, Plague Mask, Taryn, Jazzy, Lee, Jacqueline, and Cozy Ginger, aka Slayer of the Megalodon. And my inner peace, if we're being honest. So before we get into the meat of this shit sandwich, let's start with the bread, lay down some disclaimers so you know what you're about to get into. And the first disclaimer is always the same. This review will contain spoilers, opinions, and general shit talking. If you liked this book and don't want to hear me drag it, or you plan on reading it and don't want it spoiled, or the author or a friend of the author, scoot on out of here. You don't have to stay. This review just isn't for you, and I'll catch you on the next video. Maybe. I don't know. Number 2, I wish I didn't have to do this one again, but I do. Anti-Semitism warning. There is and was some controversy swirling around this book and the series in general, mainly dealing with anti-Semitic themes and tropes that were found in the book. The author apologized and said she had sensitivity readers go back through and look through the text and pull out anything that was anti-Semitic or harmful to the Jewish community, though I do think that they missed some stuff, which is why I'm leaving this disclaimer here for any Jewish individuals who may be watching and don't feel like dealing with this kind of bullshit today. 3, I feel the need to say this. I am not coming for the dark romance genre. I believe in reading what you want to read and liking what you want to like, as long as it's not harming anyone else. See disclaimer number 2. But in general, I believe in the dark romance genre and what it does and is capable of providing for people. This is a genre that could and does offer a low-stakes environment for you to explore some of your darker curiosities and proclivities and questions that you may be pondering. It also serves as a form of catharsis for victims of SA, R, and violence in some sort of capacity, and I totally get that. And so if these books do that for you, good. I'm happy to hear that. I would never want to take that away from someone, nor do I think I'd have the power to, but I will be critically reviewing the terrible books in this genre, which I believe this is one of. I'm just a regular bitch, and I will be making fun of this book today, but I am not making fun of the dark romance genre. I am not trying to take that away from anyone. I am critiquing the terrible books within the genre because I think we deserve better. Next, I want to discuss my use of dark humor because I had someone reach out a few months ago and say that some of the things I said in the review just didn't land for them. And let's talk about it. It's my hope that when I create these reviews, that I am offering an in-depth critique with consideration, care, and levity. If you've been here a while, then you know what I do, and I hope that that's what you take away from my stuff. But if it's not, or if you're new here, let's discuss who I am and what you can expect. I will not be nice to this book today, but thank goodness I can't hurt a book's feelings. This is a dark book with concerning subject matter and themes that we will go over in a bit when I get to the trigger warnings, but just know that my way of bringing levity to my reviews of dark media is dark humor. I lean in. You know, I do try to be mindful of what I say. I use abstract hyperbole and often make myself the butt of the joke so that no one can misinterpret what I'm saying. That's going to happen regardless of how careful I am. I'm not a lazy shock value content creator, lazily punching down in order to make a joke. I am or I try to be, I hope I am, a critical reviewer of media who's kind of funny sometimes. And in the words of Mike Birbiglia, all jokes are offensive to someone. And I can't possibly know all the things that you might not like or might be sensitive to you or might rub you the wrong way or just not land. So instead, I just want to tell you right here in the beginning that if my jokes don't land for you, that's okay. Or if you're in a shaky place, you're feeling a little extra vulnerable lately and don't feel like you can handle hearing me talk flippantly about some of the darker things, that's okay too. You're not obligated to be here and continue watching if it's harmful for you to do so. The last little thing I wanted to toss in here before we get going, I'm kind of stalling, but not really because this is important. I want to be clear that I'm not making fun of victims. I am making fun of this ankle-deep, dumb as a box of hair, cardboard cutout, infantilized 26-year-old woman who's victimized throughout the book and the shitty shock value universe that she exists in. But that does not mean that I am making fun of actual victims of RSA or violence. Nuance exists, and I can't possibly take a knee every time I want to make a joke to reiterate that the joke is at Adeline, a fictional character, and not victims as a whole. So I just wanted to put this up here so you can remember it throughout the duration of this video. Hopefully. It's my hope. All right, we good? I feel good. Great, so let's get started because the quicker I start, the quicker I can be done. So let's go over the details. Hunting Adeline, God, I can't believe I'm doing this again, is book 2 in the Cat and Mouse duet by H.D. Carlton. 531 pages, and for what? And classified as a dark stalker romance. Love that for us. I would more accurately say that it is an abuse romance with some QAnon fanfic sprinkled in. The first book in the series is called Haunting Adeline, and as I said, I have a review of that if you want to go watch it. There's also a prequel novella called Satan's Affair, which I've also read and reviewed on my channel if you want to go watch that. I don't think any of them are vital to watch because they're stupid and there's barely a plot to speak of in any of these books. But hey, if you're feeling silly goofy and want to support me, go watch them. I love it. Thank you. Thank y'all. There's also a fourth book that came out this year. Yeah. Wow. February 2024. Talk about a Valentine's gift. It's called Where's Molly? And at the moment, I haven't read it. Please don't make me, please. Please. The synopsis reads, oh my God, we're already here. Are you excited? The diamond. Sure. Death walks alongside me, but the Reaper is no match for me. I'm trapped in a world full of monsters dressed as men and those who aren't as they seem. They won't keep me forever. I no longer recognize the person I've become, and I'm fighting to find my way back to the beast who hunts me in the night. They call me a diamond, but they've only created an angel of death. Yeah, okay. And the hunter, Zade, the diamond was Adeline, if you didn't know. I was born a predator, with ruthlessness ingrained in my bones. When what's mine is stolen from me in the night, like a diamond hidden within a fortress, I find that I can no longer contain the beast. Kill the beast! Blood will paint the ground as I tear this world apart to find her and bring back where she... Those are two sentences. Blood will paint the ground as I tear apart this world to find her, period. And bring her back to where she belongs, period. Sure. Well, great. We're off to a great start. No one will escape my wrath, especially not those who've betrayed me. Warning, this is the second and final installment to the duet. Psych. You must read Haunting Adeline first. Come here. No, you don't. You can just go watch the review. Or, in case you don't want to do either of those, I'm going to sum it up for you. It's not going to take us long. Haunting Adeline, Book 1, Summary. Here we go. Adeline Riley is a 26-year-old famous author and lover of all things dark and spooky, hence my outfit. She is known for renovating the haunted manor that her dead grandmother left her, drinking martinis out of a straw with her overwhelmingly tiny mouth. She's fabulous. Zade Meadows, our love interest, is a hot, violent stalker, artist, and unaliver with heterochromia and a facial scar. By day, he works for himself at his QAnon-inspired dream company called Z, where he hacks, hunts, and unalives PDF file rings on the regular. By night, or any time he feels like doing it, really, he stalks and assaults his future girlfriend until she gives in to Stockholm Syndrome and falls in love with him. It's so cute! At the end of book 1, and just as the aforementioned Stockholm Syndrome starts to really kick into gear, Adeline is kidnapped by the real villains of the story, aka some guys that Zade was meant to be hunting down, leaving us with a cliffhanger. They're separated, hooray. I wish it was just the end. Yeah, that's book 1. We're back to this book now. In this book, Hunting Adeline, there are dual POVs as well, and you guessed it, it's between the diamond, aka Adeline, and the hunter, Zade. And we even get brand new, gorgeous journal entries at the end of each chapter. What I'm trying to tell you is that we're blessed. So let's talk about trigger warnings, yeah? Yeah. As some of you may know, the first book in this duet, Haunting Adeline, was banned due to the warnings, but it's so necessary to have one. They are also available on my website. Banned, that's not what book banning is. They just didn't want to carry your book. That's not a book ban. Yeah, your book is in Barnes & Noble. This book contains very triggering situations such as graphic R. These scenes are detailed, so please proceed with caution. For what? Why are they detailed? Why? There's also graphic violence and gore, torture, sexual assault, kidnapping, psychological abuse, physical abuse, mental abuse, explicit situations, human trafficking, slave trade, grooming, severe PTSD, and very particular kinks such as blood play, knife play, degradation, and somnophilia, which is another word for doing it with someone who is asleep. They are asleepy. I don't trust this author because she mucked this up so badly in the first book, and as a result, I don't trust this note. And her second author's note doesn't help. If you're expecting a quick reunion, then this book isn't for you. Don't worry, there's not any less spice. Spice, huh? You remember earlier when we asked, what have I learned? Okay, so one of the things that I learned from her first book is that she kind of treats kink and spice as if they're interchangeable with things like R and SA. I also know from that cliffhanger ending that Adeline is being held by people that mean to do her harm. And she said, we won't be getting a quick reunion. So explain to me what this spice is. Is it just assault? Because I'm in the future. It takes to 50% for Zade to get her back. And unless they just spend the rest of the book doing it all hours of the day. Is that what we're talking about? The abuse that she endures in the first chunk? Is that spice? I need answers, really. And this is a rhetorical question. If you're here and you have those answers, please leave. But the first entire book was just assault being labeled as spice because the main male character was hot and the victim, Adeline's body, was positively responding, which happens during R and SA. It can happen. And ultimately, he just wore her down through the stalking and love bombing in the form of roses all over her freaking house and stuff. It's just, I don't trust this author, is what I'm saying. She seems to not really understand the difference between spice and crimes. So this was a red flag. I got my head on a swivel. I'm unwell. There's also a playlist. You know, I gotta show it. I won't be listening to this one though because I do not want to be immersed any further. And that is the same reason that I will not be clicking on the link to the Pinterest board provided in the ebook. Who am I kidding? I'm going in. Huh. How perfectly boring. All right, now that we got all those bits out of the way, I thought a good place to start would be with positives. Yeah, some things I didn't hate about this book. And we won't be here long, so don't worry. You can go get a snack, though. The cover. Again, I said it in the first one, and I said it now. I like the cover. And I like that this cover is basically just a recycling of the initial cover, but turned up a notch. Like, everything's on fire. So in my mind, that tells me that I can expect the same stuff from the first book, but cranked up a notch. And I think that some people might think that that's lazy. I'm a work smarter, not harder kind of gal, and I think that it's smart. And this whole part of the script about the cover was written before the new covers were announced. Why are the butterflies so prominent? There are no butterflies in this story. No, there are no butterflies in this story. Anyway, the original cover served as kind of a good first impression for folks ignorant to what these books actually are, or people who like it. Whatever, they're not ugly, it's fine. But we have now reached the end of my positives. LOL. I would apologize, but the negatives are what we're all really here for, right? So come on, let's go, come on. Get in the car. Buckle. Part 1, we start off with another gorgeous work of art. Look at it. Look at it! This is Molly's journal, and she is very upset, begging someone, please, fucking let me go. Chapter 1, the diamond. So goody gumdrops. We start with Adeline. Smell. That's the first of my senses to trickle in. I wish it were anything else because I'm instantly overwhelmed by the scent of body odor, spice cologne, and what can only be described as the stench of evil incarnate. Tell me more. Seriously, I need you to tell me a little bit more because I don't know what evil incarnate smells like. Does it smell like fire and brimstone, rotten eggs, rotten flesh, mold, dirty socks? Like, you have to tell me more than that. No, you don't, because this book is already almost 600 pages. So she's awake and she's unaware of where she is or how she got there, but she's blindfolded. And thankfully, her sixth sense kicks in so that she can conclude, I'm in danger. I don't think I would need an extra sense to tell that. Like I said, she's blindfolded in the back of a moving vehicle. And like, I would assume, just with those context clues alone, that I'm in danger. But it's like she's got ESPN or something. She slowly starts to come back into her body, the numbness being replaced by consuming agony and giving us more of nothing from book 1. It's so... God. Is it... God, is this what being alive feels like? It can't be death. I'd be at peace if it were. And I may have fallen for a stalker, but I'll be damned if I didn't land a spot within heaven's gate. I've earn that shit. Racking my brain, I try to think past the pain and remember what the happened to me. Vaguely, I recall text messages from Dia asking me to come over, the urgency I felt when she wasn't answering my calls, getting in my car, headlights, panicking, being jerked forward, and then nothing. And now I'm here, wherever that is, but not somewhere safe. I'm sorry. I'm on an 11 today. Yeah, now that we're all caught up on that. She starts to worry if Dia is hurt too. And OMG, where's Zade? I don't know. Just then, she hears the voices. Sadly, none of them belong to our criminal love interest. Just criminals. They must be really ugly. They whisper about transporting her because Z will be looking for her. And then Adeline uses all 16 of her senses to tell us, I've been kidnapped, obviously. Yeah. Although, now that I'm back a little bit, she has been being stalked and assaulted by a man she claims to be in love with now. So this could just be another thing he's doing to her. That's fair. Maybe she didn't know. I don't know. It comes back to her in flashes. Apparently, after they caused her to crash, one of the men drug her across the asphalt, broken glass, and shredded metal, which is why her back is in so much pain right now. Mine hurts because of the weight of this burden of a book. They used Dia's text as a way of luring her out. And she's such a dum-dum. Zade warned me countless times that they were after me, and the first trap they set, I walked right into it. You're such an idiot, Addie. Such a idiot. You actually think we'll be able to hide her from him? It's Z, man. Another man responds, this one with a slight Hispanic accent. Ha! My note just reads, oh no, not the bad guy having a Hispanic accent. Now, H.D. Carlton has a Puerto Rican flag in her Instagram bio. I unblocked her just to check. So I'm going to leave it alone for now, but let's move on. I don't know why I got tossed into this shit, but they need to take me out of this salad of depravity. I don't belong here. I belong in a salad full of fruits and vegetables. Healthy things that don't run me off the road and enslave me. So I know that Adeline is in her mid-20s. She's 26, but she may as well be a teenager with this type of inner dialogue. Like, this girl is really dumb. I fear, and this is like a literal theory, she is so immaturely written and very juvenile, and she says dumb shit, we'll get to it, the whole book, that would make sense coming out of a 12-year-old's mouth, maybe, but not a 26-year-old woman. And it was about 10 years ago when I was 26. Exactly 10 years ago when I was 26. This is what I look like. But I'm going to tell you, I didn't talk the way she's going to talk in this book. So I want you to keep me in mind. You were so cute in your little pink hair. The love interest's job is hunting down PDF file rings and watching horrible content on the dark web of said child interactions and stuff. But he has to watch it. Does he? I'm not like that. Just because she's 26 doesn't mean that she's not a little bit below where she's supposed to be. Anyway, the guys named Rick and Rio, keep talking about being afraid of Z, but also not wanting to get on Max's bad side either. Now, if you remember from the first book, Max was the best friend of Archibald Talavera, a man who took Addie home one night, and Addie led him into the sunroom that's full of windows and let him finger bang her there, even though Zade had already started stalking her and threatened violence on any man who ever touched her. And then he delivered on that, old Arch. And then Max started sniffing around and trying to find answers, but Zade was like, hey, I have your dad held up, beaten up somewhere, and if you don't leave Adeline alone, I'm gonna unalive him. Right? We remember. Okay. They're having their ritual tonight, so hopefully Z will be eliminated there. And Adeline starts to panic, but she reins it in to rack her brain for anything that Zade taught her. Leave evidence. So she starts like pulling her hair out and leaving it in the car. They hit a bump, causing her to stumble or roll around or something. She makes a noise. The guys know that she's awake. Where are you taking me? To a temporary home until the highest bidder takes you to your forever home. Oh, forever home. I love that. Chuckle, chuckle. A prick in the arm and she's out again. So, time skip, she wakes up. She's on a table being prodded by a man known as Dr. Garrison. He lost his license due to some sort of weird malpractice things that he was interested in. I never saw any credentials, but whatever. He is peeved at the state of her. Look at the state of you. What did you guys do? I don't have the necessary equipment to fix her. And he asked her to tell her what hurts. Try everything, Doc. Literally, like, if you cared this much about her health and wellness, why did you drag her across broken glass? He puts her under, gets her all fixed up. Time skip again. She comes 2, and here's the men discussing her value now that she's all beat up. More of the same, really. You're giving me nothing. They start arguing. It's boring. She describes her attackers. It's also boring, but one of them has a leather jacket and tattooed light skin. One is grungy with scabs on his face from apparent drug use. The last one, the doctor, has like a softer vibe, but she's still getting kind of creeped out about him. He's got gray hair and a bushy mustache. See? I told you it was boring. She scans her surroundings, maybe with a super secret seventh sense. She's in some sort of rundown hospital grungy room. They give her some water. How kind. She's in a blue gown. None of this matters. The doctor apologizes for having cut all of her clothes off. The boys start fighting amongst themselves. All of this is really fun. I'm having a really good time. Yeah.
This is a terror unlike anything I've ever felt before. It's nothing like the fear that Zade invokes in me, and definitely not a cheap thrill I get from haunted houses and scary movies. This is what it feels like when you're well and truly.
Thank you for clarifying and qualifying your terror for us, letting us know there are layers and levels to fear. And thank you for trying to tell me that somehow the terror you felt when you were stalked, violated, attacked, essayed, and R'd by Zade is different than this terror. I am not trying to say it's not true, in a sense. But don't do this with me. It ain't gonna work. If these men were hotter, would this be so different? And the difference in all of these things that you've lumped together to prove a point that didn't land is consent. When you watch a scary movie or enter a haunted house or hell, even read a book like this, you go in knowing what you're getting. An unspoken, informed consent, which is hard to do when the trigger warnings aren't properly labeled and the book is shit. So anyway, these men who kidnapped you and Zade, your hard eyes baby girl, did all of these things against your will and without your consent. Go away. Go away. I hate you. She asks where they are. They're rude. Doc tells her his name. But he has another thing coming. If he's getting my name, he can shove that IV pole right up his butthole. Ma'am, they were sent for you. 1, they already know your name. And 2, butthole. Just put this. Listen, I'm gonna need you to pull out a piece of scrap paper. It doesn't have to be fancy. Pull out a piece of something. Get something to write with. I want you to write down every dumb word that comes up. Okay. So we got salad of depravity, and now we have butthole. We have shove it up your butthole. Yeah. I want you to write these things down, and then I want you to remember that she's supposed to be 26. Okay. In the face of these actual dangerous men, she decides to give us more Zade apologism, and I just eat that shit for dinner. The man is incredibly dangerous to everyone else but me, even when he had a loaded gun pointed in my direction and used it for more than just a weapon. But these men, not only would they hurt me, but they would unalive me too. Yeah, okay. She comforts herself knowing that Zade is already looking for her. He will find her. He's the megalodon. She's not worried. She falls back to sleep, and we're all tucked in nice and snug with another gorgeous letter. That was only chapter 1. I fear for my safety. Thankfully, I've got my little comfort mummy. Chapter 2, Zade, the hunter. Zade is in his little shitty sting operation with Jay, but they are ambushed and taken into custody, a move that totally caught him off guard. He isn't one to be surprised easily. Disappointment colors my world, Zade. I thought you were the megalodon. So I guess Max is the one that's orchestrating the taking of Adeline, and this battered wife of one of the big men in the society named Claire Williams comes in and reveals that she's behind this and so much more debauchery. Debauchery! She has adopted an if you can't beat them, join them mindset. Okay, great.
That's the best thing about the male species. You are all so far up your own asses. You never thought it could be a woman in charge. Never suspected the meek, abused wife because you all assumed I was weak. Now, I don't know how exactly trafficking minors and women while organizing kidnapping operatives convey strength, but go off, queen. Ah! Bad bitches only. My family thinks I'm weak too, so I'm gonna set someone's house on fire and prove that I'm not. What logic is this? But there's no logic to be found. Just take a second. And I want you to drop your expectations all the way down to hell. Just burst through the door. Satan is alarmed. Anyway, Jay uses his time to speak to tell her that she's a hypocrite because instead of trying to destroy the patriarchy, she just joined him. Get him, Jay. Preach. Bad bitches only. You'll never get rid of evil. Never. She's not wrong, but that doesn't mean I can't put a massive dent in the cesspool of rotten souls and create a power vacuum. When did Sibby get here? Those of you who don't know, Sibby is from Satan's Affair, and she is basically just the young girl version of Zade because there is no range to be found in the characterization. They are all copy-paste of one another. Also, if you wanted to put a dent in the cesspool, you could just, have you considered
A man named Patrick comes to transport them to the interrogation room or wherever that is, and Claire tells him to watch them closely, and Zade's like, she's gotten used to people sniveling at her feet and bowing to her commands like metal beneath a torch. She has yet to learn that I've never been just a man. No, bitch. He's the megalodon, and he's coming for you. Claire looks over her shoulder then, and I notice a man approaching with a deep hood over his head. I can only tell his gender because he's built like an upside-down Eiffel Tower. Massive, broad shoulders stretching the robe, the seams nearly bursting. Get a bigger size then, bruh. And then dramatically tapering down into chicken legs. Dickhead skipped leg day so often he can't even see them anymore. Because they're so skinny. Yeah, no, I get it. I got it. I had it primed to my home. It's already here. I did not need that spelled out. Whoa. Anyway, Claire and her chicken-legged companion lead them outside to a van. Jay stiffens, clearly nervous. And then a revelation is shared with the class. So I'm gonna share that with you now. I lean close to his ear. Just think of Claire as your fairy godmother, and this is the pumpkin carriage that's gonna whisk you off to your princess. Or prince, Jay corrects him through gritted teeth. He's sweating profusely and his eyes are dilated. I wouldn't mind either, I shrug, as long as you still make me Uncle Z. So there's several things here. We love bisexual rep. We truly do. Love to see it. But did y'all who've read the other books, did y'all have any idea that Jay was girly pop? And he was like, one of us. I don't remember that was in the first book. Has there been anything to imply this? Let me know because I refuse to go back. Also, what is with this absolute demon of a man being so enraptured by the idea of the nuclear family? And I don't want you anywhere near my kids, okay? Putting the and uncomfortable. Back away. They're loaded in, and Zade knows that if he were a regular civilian, the best advice would be not to antagonize the attacker, but he's the megalodon. So he's gonna be really annoying. They go back and forth, and he tells Little Legs that he doesn't want to get into a sword fight with him because Z's a guaranteed win. It's gonna be hard to get in a sword fight if you have no sword to speak of, he retorts, his tone dipped in malice. I arch a brow. Unimpressed with this threat. Even with a chainsaw, it takes time to cut through a tree trunk. You'll be dead before you get that far. They're talking about their dicks. How fun. Tree trunk, huh? Woof. Also, just a fun little fact for you. I arch a brow is in this book 20 times. After this incredible show of masculine power and energy, Zade realizes that he didn't lose their super, super tiny communication device in their ears, but rats, his is broken. So he tries to signal to Jay, to see if he can do his too and see if he can activate his. And his isn't broken. So the device is activated when they say the word call, and they do this little skit that's like, I'll have to call Baron or whatever. So that phrase is out in the open and it works, and someone on the line is listening and apparently also tracking their location. I don't know. I'm not Inspector Gadget. Fisticuffs. And then something plows into the side of the van, causing it to crash into a guardrail on the interstate. He snaps Patrick's neck and they are free. He must have skipped neck day too. Another ugly journal entry from Molly. It is dumb. Chapter 3. The Hunter again. Yes. He stops for a moment to consider unaliving Claire, but he can't do that in front of the other motorists who have stopped because of their crash. So he exchanges some words with her. I don't remember what they were. He heads to the van and tells us, they still have Addie and the rage is steadily churning beneath the surface. I'm gonna burn the entire world down until I find her, and I don't care who gets burnt. Lay a towel down, folks. Zaddy Zade is back and he is pissed. Ah! They go to the hospital, but Z and Jay are already on the case. Surveillance footage, trolling the dark web, ultimately finding an ad with her picture on it. He gives us a description again as if we could forget the founding member of Team Freckles. Serious cap, okay? I'm gonna get close for this, and this is gonna seem way out of left field, but I want you to just stay with me and trust me, okay? People ask me a lot why I have a problem with the Freckles. What do you have against Freckles? I have pointed them out nearly every time I come across a mention of Freckles in books like these when describing the main female characters, because believe it or not, this isn't the only time that it comes up. Monroe from The Fucking Wrong Number had freckles. Cherry from The Never King is said to have freckles, both young, easily manipulated girls who were victimized by the men around them, right? Stay with me. I note them as I encounter them. Why? What do I have against freckles? The answer is nothing. I have nothing against freckles. I have freckles. I don't hate freckles. Freckles are used to symbolize a youthful innocence. Kind of like how in like movies like She's All That, the nerdy girl is shown to be nerdy because she has big glasses on and overalls. Or in other movies, like a big scarf and a beret, and you're like, oh, that's an artist. And this is why picking up on things like this can be a tool to help gauge the intent and the goal of these stories. Adeline is written very young. She is said to be 26, but she's constantly saying really dumb stuff that could be dialogue for a tween sitcom and it wouldn't be out of place. And she has freckles. She's also super hot, instantly sexualized, and then victimized by our main male character. So I don't think I need to explain why this would be problematic in a book like this, or in general, really, because you're smart, but I'm going to anyway. So Zade is a man whose job and mission in life is to snuff out the creeps and the criminals who do harm to poor, young, innocent children. Zade is also a man who becomes instantly obsessed with Adeline and victimized her, an immature, fresh-faced, naive woman, in a similar way, thereby using the same tactics of the men that he claims to hate and be nothing like. Zade good, criminals bad, in spite of him being the exact same problems in a hotter package, objectively. This is why I visibly recoil every time I see Freckles mentioned. The intent behind Freckles and what they symbolize in books like this is why I seem to have an issue with Freckles. If I was reading contemporary fiction where the female main character's younger sister is shown having freckles and then she skips off to her job as a preschool teacher, like, I have no problem hearing that. Hearing and experiencing how young these women are and how young they're written, and then having to read detailed excerpts of them being sexualized for it and then getting railed, you understand, right? I don't need to go on. I just wanted to take a second and clear that up. I got a lot of comments on the last video about, why do you hate freckles? So I just wanted to clear the air, so to speak. That's why. Serious cap off. Her ad on the dark web lists her price tag as $12 million. And Jay knows that it was Max who answered the ad and sent people to grab her, and that information is almost too much for Zade to handle. But he focuses on his breathing and tries to ground himself so that he can be logical about his next move. Just kidding! Oh my god, you totally fell for that. Red consumes my vision and I snap into motion. My laptop is launched across the hospital room, the loud crash from it slamming the equipment and into the wall, swallowed by the roar ripping from my throat. What? The loud crash from it slamming through the equipment and into the wall, swallowed by the roar ripping from my throat. That's a word salad right there. So he just starts trashing the hotel room, throwing IV poles, laptops, equipment, tables, chairs, whatever. It's my fault. This is my fault. Roar. I agree. But I blame you for everything at this point. Staff rushes in, straps him to the bed, but he's the megalodon, so the sumbitch just stands up with the full bed, hospital bed, strapped to his back. He is like a heavy breathing monster of a man. I am no longer a man. I'm not a girl. Only a beast succumbing to primal instinct. I am annihilation. I had a hard time with that one. I'm sorry. What a dork. Jay gets in his face. He's like, chill, dude, bro. This hissy fit won't save her. And he's like, you're right, Jay. You're so right. So he chills out. That's all it took. Then they unstrap him from the bed, pointless as it was, and a nurse approaches him to stitch him up and asks him if he wants to talk about it. She's better than me because I would have just changed professions that day. Absolutely not. I know a lot of nurses, and I've been in a lot of hospitals, and I know what they deal with on the regular. 100% no. She blows out a shaky breath and straightens. I'll make sure no charges are pressed so you can save her. She points to the Band-Aid. Maybe no more knife-threatening injuries, yeah? I grace her with a strained smile and assure, I'll pay for the damages. That would be appreciated. Nurses that are watching this, sorry, I didn't mean to snap at you. I love you. Tell me if this is as ridiculous as I think it is, because maybe it isn't ridiculous at all and I don't know what I'm talking about, but just go with me, okay? Do nurses care about who pays for the damages on federally funded equipment that belongs to the state hospital? Like, I don't think hospitals are set up like if I'm hostessing at a restaurant and I'm doing some food running and I drop a cup, it comes out of my tip money. I don't think that that's how this goes. Will this nurse's pay be docked for this? I don't think so. So why would she care who's paying for, like, I thought most hospitals were federally funded and the equipment comes from that. But hey, you let me know. You always do, and I appreciate it. Another thing to just really send me over the edge is the babying of him through this. Like asking if he wants to talk, giving him a T-Rex Band-Aid. She doesn't know this man. All she knows of him is violence. But she prefers to cuddle him.
that's so sweet.
She leaves, and Jay tells Zade that he knows where Max is. What? Whoa, brother! You need to heal before rushing off. You're no good to anyone injured. He's no good to anyone, period. Full stop, full sentence, no more. He's all, I do need to rest so I can rip Max's head off. Blah, 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 whatever. Time skip, Zade wakes to Jay taking a quick break to paint his nails eggplant purple. Oh my god, I totally forgot about that. Again, where was that in the first book? I don't recall it, but maybe my brain lobotomized itself after completion. I don't know. Anyway, he spent the last 5 days not resting, but trying to escape this hospital to no avail. They just keep putting him under. I thought he was the Megalodon. You can't escape one measly hospital? No wonder this reunion won't be quick. So they know Max requested this job, but did he carry it out himself? No way. So they are watching banks to see where the eventual money comes from. Some guy named Rick eventually receives the transfer, but Max is the start of this. So that's where we're starting. Another ugly letter from Molly, something about her baby sister Layla. Layla needs me. I don't know, nor do I care. Chapter 4, we're back with Addie the Diamond. She wakes up to a voice saying, I can save you. And it's the doctor trying to usher her to safety, but she has a bad feeling about this. Like he wants to maybe keep her off her himself or something and not actually save her, but she follows him anyway. He has nefarious intentions, implies that he's some sort of disgraced doctor who lost his license because of some weird practices and ideas, so she tries to talk him out of this, claiming to care that they will know that it's him and he'll be in danger, which is smart, honestly. She continues to resist, so he just backhands her, and holy berries and balls! She didn't say that, but she did think something similar because was that a wedding ring I felt a dent in my cheek on? What the fuck? How despicable for him to sully such an incredible vow such as marriage. She didn't say that, but it's implied. And again, I ask, what are we up to on this nuclear family type deal? Like, he is a disgraced delicensed doctor who is helping people kidnap you for ultimate trafficking purposes. I think him stepping out on his wife is the least bad thing this man does. But hey, how could he? Harumph. She thinks to herself that if she stabs him in the jugular, he can't scream and will be dead fast. That way nobody will be alerted to her being out of her room. Half of that statement is true there, Addie. As long as the voice box and throat is left untouched, he would still be able to scream, but he would bleed out. And he proves this when she does in fact stab him and he shouts, "You bitch," at her. Not only that, but he attempts to strangle her. Quick death, not so much. While he's doing that, Rick and Rio show up and give him one to the dome, causing his innards to fly all over Addie because he's like on top of her. Is it lunchtime already? She gives them some attitude, and then one of them has to help her shower because she's injured and can't get her stitches wet, whatever. Time skip. They're taking her to her new home. Isn't that so exciting? I love going to see new homes. It's so much fun. They tell her that Franchesca is gonna love her, and I bet we're gonna love Franchesca too, and that Franchesca is the one to impress. She's the one doing the selling, the madam, I guess. I don't know. She's like, if winning her over is all I need to do, then I will do it because I've always been stupidly brave. More stupid than brave, but still, I'm not stopping now. Yeah, I agree. More stupid than brave for sure. And then we have another letter. This is just the word Layla written over and over and over. Genius inspired, beautiful, love it. This video is going to be so long. Chapter 5, Adeline again, the diamond.
At one point in our lives, we're all afraid to die. For some, it happens the first moment we fully understand what death means, before depression, anxiety, and other mental health issues arise. For others, it's before they've found something to believe in, whether it's God or something else that's spiritual.
Something else that's spiritual, huh? You don't say. So they roll up to this huge house.
Rick splays his arm out towards the 2-story colonial home, presenting the house to me as if I'm at a 5-star restaurant, and he's pulling the lid off my tray to reveal the best meal I've ever had. I've never been anywhere so fancy, but from the videos I've seen on the internet, it looks like a bunch of baby portions of foam and sticks wrapped in meat. So not appealing.
5-star analogy, though. You fed us. That's for sure. She continues to serve us nothing when she compares the house to one from No Shit, Courage the Cowardly Dog. Don't bring him into this. That little anxious bean has been through enough. They enter the house and she's introduced to Franchesca, her new madam. How divine. Some random Spanish words were tossed in for flavor. Again, I'm leaving it alone, but there are other men in the house leering and saying gross things to her. She also finds out that Max is behind all of this, so she knows she's all over the dark web. She is shook, as one would be, but she grounds herself knowing that there's someone coming for her.
Zade is coming, and he's more than capable of finding me, whether they're teleporting me. What? And he's more than capable of finding me, whether they're transporting me in a fucking Ferrari or a Volkswagen from the 1980s that farts pollution every time they hit the gas. He'll find me.
I'm supposed to believe this is a grown woman. Write the fart down. Write it down. It's not the last time we'll hear about it. There are no bits in this video. This is just what it is.
The new information distracts me enough to take in my surroundings through blurred eyeglasses. A grown woman author, no less. Adeline doesn't wear glasses. She's not wearing glasses. What is this supposed to mean? What are you trying to say to me?
We end the chapter with another Molly letter. Fun! Chapter 6, Zade. He's throwing another fit. I'm stunned. What about you? He goes on this long tangent about how
Rage is undervalued and his rage should be studied because it can burn down entire cities.
rawr.
He is shattered by grief over his little mouse being stolen from him, so he
Activates his full Kyle mode and punches a mirror. Now, HD doesn't include this in her trigger warnings list, but self-harm is upon us. I'm not going to get into it, but I just wanted you to know. He picks up one of the shards from the mirror that he just punched and carves a rose over his heart onto his chest. Yeah. Cool guy. Cool stuff. Time skip. He's approaching Max's house and he has left a trail of bodyguards in his wake. He gets inside. No problem. Of course he does. He's the megalodon. Couldn't escape the hospital of nurses and doctors and visiting family, but can easily eliminate people whose job it is to keep people out of places. That's literally their job, and he just breezes right in. He confronts Max, who tries to play dumb unsuccessfully. Apparently, the reason that Max did this is because he knows that Zade unalived his dad. Remember, he had him held hostage for a bit, but Zade didn't do that. But apparently Max was sent a video of his dad being unalived, and the person in the video said,
"This is for Adeline Riley."
So he did just some quick math without fact checking, and Zade is right. Rage should be studied. This is dumb. So time skip again. He's torturing Max now for funsies because he's a terrible, violent, criminal, unhinged maniac person. I could go on, but I won't. He's torturing while a song is playing at full blast to drown out the screams. Do you want to play a game? Okay. What song is he listening to? Log your answers now. Bodies by Drowning Pool. So Zadie Boy, on top of being a superhuman killing machine, a lover of children, a stalker, supervillain, hottie dreamboat, he's also a scientist, an engineer. I don't know if you knew. He has constructed a machine all by himself that is hooked up to Max's heart to keep restarting his heart every time he passes away. Torture, rinse, repeat. Swell. I feel like this time could have been better utilized, right? Like, he has been whining this whole time about, I'll stop at nothing to get Addie back, and how he did this. He's why she's gone. It's his fault. He'll stop at nothing. But he clearly stopped to do this. Do you think he has an eye break for torture bumper sticker on his Mustang? Anyway, he tortures some information out of him. Pages and pages of this. I will not even be doing it. It's just so pointless.
What is the point of this?
Some triggering stuff about to come up, and I'm just gonna like sprinkle it in, but it's like problematic in a transphobia kind of flavor. So much fun. He castrates him and calls him a pussy, and then says some problematic stuff about him now that he doesn't have his anymore. I'll let you use your imagination. Let's play another game.
I really wanted to watch him run away, but first I need to cauterize his wound. Otherwise he'll continue to lose blood too quickly, and then we won't get to play.
And
I work to cauterize the wound, preventing him from bleeding out while I'm gone. I'm not quite done with him yet.
Corporate needs you to find the differences between this picture and this picture.
They're the same picture. The first one was said by Sibby in Satan's Affair. The second one is Zade from Right Now Hunting Adeline. They are literally carbon copies of one another. No range, no branching out, no creative reworkings. No, why would we bother to do that when we could just Control-C, Control-V? Time skip. He rescues Daya, who was also taken, I guess. She was assaulted by the man who was holding her named Luke, who I guess she slept with before. I don't know. Zade eliminates him somehow and asks Daya what he did to her. Nothing that I haven't let him do before.
She mumbles. I cock my head. We both know this time around wasn't consensual.
So he does know what consent means. He goes on. It gets better. He lets her know that none of this is her fault. And she didn't ask for this. And while this is so cute, it is not growth. It reiterates to me what we've already known this whole time, that he understands what boundaries and consent are and how they work. He just doesn't think those rules apply to him when he assaults his little mouse. He is capable of having empathy for victims, but not his own victims. So while I believe this whole thing is meant to soften him, redeem him in some sort of a way, oh my god, look how supportive he's being of Daya. It actually does the opposite for me. This book is a joke. This man is a joke. This whole thing is a joke. He starts to leave, but Daya stops him with her words. Don't lose your humanity yet, Zade. Addie's strong and she'll survive this. I stare at her and I wonder if she can see something inside me that I can't. It's already gone. Is the humanity in the room with us, Daya? When has this man ever had humanity? He's right. Already been gone for years. Never seen it before. Time skip again. I don't know why we needed this time skip. He's still here torturing Luke alongside Daya. I know I said he unalived him. Spoiler alert, I went ahead. I just sped right through. Daya takes over at some point, ending Luke's pathetic existence. And we get another darling letter from Molly. Not only that, but we get a work of art up here in the form of stick figures of Layla and Molly, as their labels would say. And not just that, okay? I want you to look at the bottom. Look at the bottom here. And at the end, she tells us, I drew a little picture of me and Layla.
Yeah, no shit, honey!
Chapter 7, the diamond again. Francesca's not pleased.
Look at this stadium.
Francesca tells Rio that he is tasked with watching her and nursing her back to health and making sure that she's in top shape for the highest bidders. They plan to drug her to ensure her rest and compliance with all of this stuff, and she is not happy about it, but Rio's like, you shouldn't be worried about being out. You should be worried about the men who might wander in here and use you while you are.
Yeah, no shit, honey!
Yeah, dumb fuck. I think that's part of it. Duh. Imagine we're wandering in a very crowded bar together. Unruly. It's a nightmare in there. And I say, I'm a little worried about going into this bar, and Rio's with me. And in his infinite wisdom, he leans over and says, I wouldn't be worried about the bar so much as the creepy drunk men in the bar that might assault you. Yeah, bish. That's what the I was referring to. I could do this all day. I'm really worried about this surgery I'm having on Thursday. You shouldn't be worried about the surgery. You should be worried about something going wrong and never waking up. Yeah, that's what I mean. That's part of it. It's an umbrella of all things that I'm worried about in this moment. Anyway, they escorted her to a new room. Francesca's still here and asks Addie, do you know who I am? And thanks to Addie being the master manipulator that she is, the interaction is a layup for her. Francesca, I say confidently, inserting as much volume into my voice as possible. She doesn't present herself as the type of person who'd appreciate mumbling. That's a good thing about being a writer, I suppose. I've built and crafted so many imaginary personalities that it doesn't take much to figure out the ones in real life. I think given the circumstances and your surroundings and the way that you described her earlier, it wouldn't take a rocket scientist or a world-famous author to figure out that this very tall, commanding woman who is spearheading a sex trafficking ring out of her home wouldn't appreciate mumbling. But Adeline is smart. I'm trying to tell you how smart she is. Anyway, they have their little boring exchange. Rio is told to implant a tracking device into the back of her neck and tattoo on her slave ID. Hate that. Hello from the void. Just wanted to take a moment and retroactively pop in a small serious cap right here for this whole slave ID thing. Now, I know H.G. Carlton made her apology when she was initially called out for anti-Semitic tropes in her books, but this seems insensitive at best, and definitely like something that might have slipped by all those sensitivity readers she said she hired. Mandatory identification numbers, aka slave IDs, were something that actually happened to Jewish individuals and other victims of the Holocaust while they were in the Auschwitz concentration camp. Yeah, they were forcibly tattooed onto their bodies. Like, why? Did no one flag this? And if they did flag it, what's it still doing here? The tracker would have been enough to illustrate further how messed up this situation Adeline's in. We could have been okay with just the tracker. But no, we had to leave in slave ID, which is problematic even if you didn't know about the anti-Semitic tropes. But since we do, it's even worse that it's here, in my opinion. Just wanted to give you a little insight onto why this made me make such a face. Yeah, shout out to those sensitivity readers. They definitely left a few things behind. Okay, serious cap off. Rio is kind of showing some signs of humanity here, like he warns her that it's gonna hurt before implanting it. Hi, sir, aren't you the same man that drug her across the broken glass after you crashed into the side of her car? Why do you care? Shut them up. He tattoos her slave ID, and they chat about tattoos, and she's tired and wants to escape from this, and she asks about sedation, but worries that Zade might think she's weak because she would rather sleep than try to escape. Who cares? Who cares what he thinks? Go to sleep. I would. Anyway, she's starting to feel hopeless, just like they want, and starts expositing to us a load of garbage. And I'm taking you down with me this time.
They want us to accept that we will die here one day, never to see our family or loved ones again, never to experience freedom, laughter, and independence for the rest of our miserable lives, to never truly love and be loved.
The greatest thing you'll ever learn is just to love and be loved in return.
But I won't accept it. I'm going home to Parsons Manor and to Zade.
Time skip. A creaking sound wakes her from a deep sleep, and then this odd sense comes over her. The feeling of being watched. She scans the darkness. Lightning strikes, but she sees no one. Senses no one in the room with her, but she can't shake this feeling that there are eyes on her. She scans the room once again and notices like a gap in the planks in the walls, and an eyeball. Someone is watching her inside of the walls. That may sound familiar to you, and that's because Phoebe, as I've already talked about from Satan's Affair, lived inside the walls of a fun house. Yeah, so creative. She takes a quick break from panicking to let us know that this would be such a fun horror movie for her to watch, but this is the worst to live. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, no shit, honey!
She looks again, but the eyeball is gone, and she gaslights herself. Like, that would be crazy for someone to hide inside my walls. But wait, wait a minute. That weird girl from the carnival used to live inside the walls. Sibby shout out, whoop whoop. But whatever, you're being crazy, ads. Cut it out. And as she returns to bed, her foot picks up on a discrepancy in the floorboards. One of them is wobbly, so she removes the plank and plunges her hand inside.
I bump into something solid. I snatch it up and almost squeal when I see it's a journal. No fucking way. I just stare. Finding Gigi's journal inside a wall in Parsons Manor was unbelievable. Something that only happens in movies. But finding another journal inside the floor? Impossible.
Impossible.
Impossible?
Stupid, Jack. The word is stupid.
She's excited, but it's too dark to read right now, so she puts it back and heads to bed. Thrilling.
The storm raging outside lulls me back to sleep, and just as I'm slipping into consciousness, footsteps creak from within the walls, slowly retreating.
Darling, you mean slipping into unconsciousness, right? Just as I'm slipping into consciousness. Okay. Another ugly journal entry, bravo. Chapter 8, The Diamond. She's in the middle of trying to braid her hair when a small voice says,
"You have such pretty hair."
Beat it, doofus!
We get a bit of a descript, long curly blonde hair, creepy smile, and
she's wearing a long nightgown that's nearly see-through, the curves of her body and her dark nipples apparent.
I keep my eyes averted, trying to give her some semblance of respect that I'm sure she's missing from the men in this house. Well, I hate to break it to you, Ad. Noting her curves and dark nipples beneath her gown is the opposite of giving respect. Remember when Zade did this in book 1? Literally, these are all the same things, just recycled.
The main room is massive. The stage is right in the middle of the room. A large pole, front and center, with a girl swinging around it, completely naked. Her tits bounce as she lifts herself up, wrapping her long legs around the pole and bending backwards, her breasts on full display as she gyrates her hips. I don't bother looking at her body.
You did, though. You did. A more successful attempt, for anyone who's curious, would be something like, I don't know. She's wearing a long white nightgown that is nearly see-through. I avert my eyes to give her blah, 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 blah. That tells me that you perceived her, took in her appearance, and quickly realized that you needed to look away because some things were on display. You can perceive things without leering and then taking time to describe them to me, who never asked to be here in the first place. Old weird girl's name is Sydney. Sydney. Oh, God. What a weird little mishap I made there. Whoop. She offers to help Addie with her hair, and then she presses her boobs boobily up against Adeline and tells her,
"Franchesca wants us to meet her in the pretty room."
Why is everyone 4 years old? They go off. They enter the beauty room, and it's filled with racks of lingerie and a few other girls, and Adeline starts to ask a question, but a smarter girl tells her to shut the fuck up. Then she hears the click-clack sound of heels approaching. Oh my God, it's so riveting. Are you ready?
Moments later, heels echo loudly down the wood.
What? Moments later, heels echo loudly on the wood as Franchesca makes her way up the stairs and down the hallway towards us. I guess that's one comfort in this house. I'll always know where Franchesca is and if she's coming. She's definitely no Casper the fucking ghost with those monstrosities on her feet. How many blisters did she have to suffer through before her feet were calloused enough to wear those all day, every day? 20? 30? Maybe some weird number like 42? She's 26. Yeah. Yeah, sure she is.
She enters and sizes them up and says they look like shit and calls for a man named Rocco. His presence is pure evil, and I just know that when this man dies, he won't go to hell. He'll stay in the fourth dimension where he'll continue to haunt and terrorize the living. Rocco is a large man with an even larger gut.
Trigger warning for his description being a little anti-Semitic.
Sweat coats his skin as he scans the six of us. He definitely looks like Franchesca's brother, both with hooked noses, tan skin, and golden brown eyes. Though they look related, Franchesca is beautiful, whereas Rocco is not. The only beauty that has ever touched this man has been at the hands of a woman. Touches that were stolen and came with a steep price that only she paid for.
Hooked noses, huh? Now, the hooked nose is a feature that was often seen depicted during World War II, used in many anti-Semitic propaganda depicting Jewish people. But it's probably nothing. I mean, right? HG was called out for this kind of harmful thing before, right? But she apologized. Some have gone so far to call her apology beautiful, a shining example of what accountability looks like. And I guess this one just slipped by. Mistakes happen. People are human, and I get that. But beautiful apology and shining example of accountability, huh?
What's all this then?
Anyway, Rocco's here to handle one of the girls that has growths on her face that she has not been handling. The girls are useless to them if they're ugly, right? So what does he do? Brings out a switchblade and carves up her face. Sydney finds this amusing. She's giggling, and Adeline has had enough and blurts out, "Aren't you making her uglier?" Everyone stops. Rocco approaches. Once again, I want to say that it's important that they have acceptable appearances. They need to be in tip-top shape, that they can be sold for the highest price, right? Keep that in your noodle.
I close my eyes in resignation, hating myself for my lack of self-control. This isn't like confronting a psychotic stalker. He's not enigmatic, nor will he toe the line between pain and pleasure. There's no sick thrill when a disgusting man is scaring me down, probably imagining all the worst ways he could defile me or unalive me. He isn't Zade.
Right there. Said it right there. There's no thrill when this disgusting man is staring me down. That's the only difference, isn't it? That's the real difference. Rocco is Uggo,
and Zade is Hottie McHotterson.
He's a slice of dreamboat cake
with yummy, yummy icing and a rose flower on top.
Zade didn't toe a line. Zade is also violent and psychotic.
But Zade has heterochromia and a facial scar, and he's hot.
But you'll see another similarity between him and Rocco is that they're both RS. Isn't that great? We're about to see it here and now. So he teaches Adeline a lesson on staying quiet and smashes her face into the floor, rips her clothes off and R's her in front of everyone. And Franchesca's like, "Don't hit her face." And like, he just slammed her into the floor. Did you miss that part? Remember what we said about how it's important that their appearance stays tip-top shape? The goods shouldn't be damaged. I mean, we don't have to be consistent when we're writing a story, right? I mean, it's not important for consistency to show up in a novel whose sole purpose is to be edgy and violent and dark and upsetting. Consistency. No thanks, that sounds boring. Also, this is a great time to ask, good as time as any, is this the spice that HG was referring to in her author's note at the front of the book? Now that I've read this, I know that Zade rescues her at like the 50% mark. So that means 50% of this book is wide open and full of like this. So either A, all of the final 50% is spice between her and Zade, or B, she's counting all of this as spice and given her careless writing style when it comes to these things, I don't think she has a firm grasp on the difference between spice and crimes. I just don't think she gets it, but oh well. Anyway, everyone's watching as he does this to her. Franchesca is peeved that he isn't wearing a condom. The nerve. The scene is very detailed. Who doesn't want that? I don't. I'm not reading it. Once he's done, Franchesca fetches her and Adeline punches him in the nose as they leave. Once back in her room, Franchesca slaps her across the face a couple times and calls her stupid. I thought we needed the goods in good condition. Is anything consistent here? Yes, the quality. It is always shit. Chapter 9, Diamond again. Still, both of these POVs are so unlikable and exhausting to read in their own ways, but there's no relief. I don't know why I thought there would be relief. Thank God every time someone R's her, she has someone else's diary to escape in. She starts reading the one from the floorboards and falling more and more in love with this girl with every page turned. She's
everything I want to be.
Okay? She's a 20-year-old trafficking victim like yourself. Spoiler alert, plot twist, hate to break it to you. You're already that. Because what else do you know about her? Except that she is a victim of the same people. She's living in this house, she's journaling, and she needs to get back to Layla. What not but are you the same? You are in this house, blah, blah, blah. You're gonna start journaling, I'm in the future, I know that. And you're trying to get back to Zade. You're the same, except you're 6 years older. Or so I'm supposed to believe. Anyway, she tears through the journal. It ends on a cliffhanger, which sends her into a frenzy over this person she doesn't know.
What happened to her? Did she escape? Did she find Layla a better life?
Now, I understand that we're coping and we're in a weird situation where we need to cling on to anything to keep us from the brutal reality that is our existence currently. But what does it matter to you, Adeline? Like, weren't you just telling Zade in the last book
that death isn't always the worst thing that can happen to a girl that's been victimized in such a way?
Didn't you imply that death is a gift in some of those cases? I know Phoebe did in Satan's Affair. So, like, I don't get the concern. Who cares?
She's probably better off dead, right, Adeline? That's what you always say.
She replaces the journal and curls up into a ball and cries over the events of the day, the week really. She's had a rough week, cries herself out, and then she's numb. She goes over everything, how everyone just stood there and watched what happened, but she can't blame them. Self-preservation and all that. And Zade's voice in her head tells her to pick her battles.
But that's easier said than done, Zade.
Time skip, Rio comes back. All these are names, and for what? He's there to clean her up and fix her stitches, which ripped during Rocco's attack. Literally, she is supposed to be drugged into submission so that she can heal from all this stuff and bring in a higher price. But they keep beating the dog shit out of her every chance they get. This is so utterly stupid in every single way. But who needs things to make sense when we have shock value, pointless violence instead? Yum.
Dinner is served.
Groundwork is being laid through dialogue with Rio for him to have like a change of heart at some point. Maybe he's
Switching sides.
I'm not sure, but she says, "Don't call me sexy." And he's like, "Zade gonna kill me for that?" And she's like, "He's gonna kill you either way." Cool. Time skip again. I don't like any of these time skips. There's too many of them. Like, write a better story. This is the most unorganized jumble of shit that I've ever.
She's requested again in the pretty room.
It's a beauty room. It's called a beauty room, but everybody is 12 and all of them are dumb.
She goes. Sydney is giggling at all of this, so Adeline decides that she does hate her. She was on the fence with her creepy ass, but she's had enough.
Franchesca announces that today is supposed to be the prep day for the culling until they were so rudely interrupted. And Adeline's like, "What's the culling?" And Franchesca tells her what she already knew. Men will come to hunt them like animals on the grounds, most dangerous game style, which makes, say it with me,
no goddamn sense.
Take a shot every time something doesn't make sense. No, don't do that. Don't do that. You will be sick, and that is not on me. The only person who should hurt at the hands of this book is me. I have made this sacrifice so that I can save you. Franchesca continues to tell them that they will all participate, and the men will decide if they want to buy them, and that's important that they are interested in you because my big reputation is on the line. If they think I don't produce the best girls, it will ruin me, and I will be big mad. Maybe stop suplexing them every time something happens. Maybe don't allow people to R them at random whenever they feel like it. Maybe don't make them participate in a game where they are being hunted for fun. What a stupid book. Like, I'm not trying to tell you what to do, okay? I have some experience in running a small business, and my advice, separate this shit out. You need to separate this. You need quadrants for these things. If girls come in that are ugly or damaged, aka girls that won't bring in the high prize or have growths on their face, those are your culling girls. Station them over there. The pretty ones that will bring in the big paydays, those are the inventory girls. Stock them bitches on the shelf. No one touches them. That way, it doesn't matter if the culling girls get damaged. They aren't bringing in the money anyway. And you can protect your choice girls. This book is turning me into a horrible person. Just look at me.
Look at this stadium.
Anyway, Sydney has to participate too. Now that Adeline is here, apparently it's time for Sydney to go. So of course this angers her and paints yet another target on our diamond girl's back. She leaves them with something about not tolerating failure. Blah, I don't know. Impress these men that want to hunt you with crossbows, the most dangerous game style. And then Adeline comes swooping in with some grade A literature.
How do volcano eruptions begin? Pressure. And it's brewing inside me.
The fiery magma is rising, thickening with hatred, growing denser with bloodlust.
Eventually, I'm gonna explode, and I promise I will burn this entire damn house down with me. Zade, is that you? She is a writer, darn it. Impeccable. And that is further proven when she starts taking up and writing in the blank pages left over in Molly's journal. Chapter 10, Zade again, Hunter. Jay has a location on the van that took Addie. They are really dragging their feet on this, aren't they? I mean, I thought that he was the megalodon. I really thought he was desperate to find her. I'd burn the world. Like, it's been 12 days and 10 chapters. They just found the van. He and Jay head to the car, and Jay's living situation is explored a little bit. I'm going to summarize because I don't know why or if it matters. My money's on no. But his parents left, I guess, and now Jay takes care of his 13-year-old brother Cameron. So Jay's like, I need to call the sitter before we go, and Zade's like, dude, he's 13. Jay pauses to look at me, a dry look on his face. Exactly, which means he's probably going to be up until 6 o'clock in the morning with a bag of Doritos in one hand and his in the other, running up my credit card with corn. So not only is this gross, talking in such a crass way about your younger brother, but it's weird. Now, I don't know this kid, okay, so fair enough, but I do have teenage sons of my own. But Natalie, you're so young. I thought you were Gen Z. On God, no cap, fax, no printer. I know, I know, it's difficult to believe, but I do have teenage children. This is such an unfair generalization of the portrait of a teenage boy. Like, teen boys aren't all like this, and it feels weird to say something like this in a QAnon fanfic book, but whatever. Anyway, your brother will be fine, but that's exactly what I said to Addie, and I failed her. I slide a cigarette out from my pack and pop it in my mouth. I won't fail again.
On the contrary, there's a chance this girl is alive, and we are gonna find her.
Time skip. They arrive at a clearly abandoned building. The van's parked around the corner. Oh well, they head inside. Addie isn't here, but he knew that. Just like he knows something bad happened here. I wonder how many cents it takes for him to know things like that. No shit, your girlfriend was kidnapped and held here, at least for a moment. But even more than that, something bad has probably happened everywhere. Like, have you seen a ghost hunting show? They continue exploring when they are hit with the smell of death. Someone died here, and I bet the body is in the exact same spot. Yeah. Unless this is now QAnon meets The Walking Dead fanfic, that's usually how dying works. They find the body, and I want you to hear this next part, okay? Listening ears on. On the floor is a massive pool of dried blood, a dead man lying directly in the middle of it. He's bloated, well into the process of decomposition. Log that away, pals. Put it in there. So they found this body and some dainty little woman footprints walking away from it, and they follow it to a bed, and they put the pieces together. Someone else shot him. She was under him. She's covered in blood and needed a shower. This imagery is just simply too much for Zaddy Zade, so my hand goes flying into the nearest wall, breaking straight through it like a malfunctioning robot. I cock it back and drive it through a second time, and a third, and a fourth, and a fifth. 1, then comes the 2 to the 3 to the 4. Before Jay's hand wraps around my arm using my momentum and yanks me backwards, I stumble and we both come close to falling from the force. Snap out of it, dude, he barks, sweat gathered across his hairline. Seriously, dude, rein it in. This is so embarrassing. I mean, no one's here, but whatever. Like, I know you're dealing with one of your own being a victim is a little bit more upsetting than the randoms you save on the daily, and I get that. However, I also get that since this is your job and you understand what it requires of you emotionally and physically, you would have some sort of a routine to kind of prep for things like this. Like, I don't do shit like this, but when I have something to do that I know is going to emotionally drain me, I take some time, even if it's just 5 minutes, ground myself and prepare for the worst. but I have been in therapy for like over a decade. I work on myself and try to find solutions to my problems and healthy coping skills to reach for in the face of stress and upset. So let me just adjust my expectations. Psych. I expect adult men to take responsibility for themselves. Is that inflammatory to say? Throwing a little baby fit in the face of any little inconvenience or upsetting revelation, destroying property, causing injury, harm, etc. is not acceptable, you donkey-brained bit. But he's hot. He's hot. I keep forgetting how hot he is. I no longer care. Now they have to waste
even more time cleaning up any traces of Zade's blood from all the roaring he just did. They hack the cameras to see if they can find anything. Odd that the cameras are still functioning, because wouldn't they, whoever's watching the cameras or set up the cameras, be able to see that Zade and Jay were there? Whatever. Jay says, you might not want to see what I found, but he has to. Joy. Chapter 11. Zade again. Whee! We open up to a flashback of his mommy or something. I don't know. He hears a voice.
Baby, what have I told you about lashing out when you're angry?
Not enough, clearly. JK, Weirdo Book Club does not lean into the stereotype of blaming the mother for the men's actions. Not without valid context that shows me it's warranted in some way anyway. They see Addie and the doctor attempting to kidnap her for a second time. I flick my cigarette to the ground and crush it beneath my boot, blowing out smoke as I watch Jay skip through several recordings. Just as I lift my boot to kick away the butt, I freeze and clench my jaw, hearing Addie's smart mouth even now. Stop littering! This place will be ashes by the time I'm done, but I said I would stop, so I will. I pick up the butt, stuff it in my pocket, and force myself to refocus on the screen.
Aw, they're both hearing each other's voices. Sounds like lunacy.
Annie hears his mom. He's not all right. Another thing that has me scratching my head, literally, when did Adeline become an environmentalist? Is this another thing that I just burned from my memory, that she's like, stop littering? They continue to watch the footage of person after person, child after child being brought in the same way that Adeline was, and footage of them being AR'd by Dr. Garrison. Some of the girls are actually children too, which is fun, and Jay tells him that he doesn't have to watch them all, and Zade's like, yes I do! You actually don't. Jay is doing it for you. You've hired him for specific jobs, and one of them can be this. But this further proves my hypothesis that Zade has to watch because he wants to watch. He clearly likes watching women suffer. Cut to his girlfriend. And his girlfriend is basically a 26-year-old toddler herself. The lady doth protest too much, sir. He enjoys it. H.D. Carlton was right. There is so much spice in here. I am warm. Zade requests that Jay rewind the tape for more viewing. He hates it so much. LOL. No, he wants to see them as they're being brought in so he can see if he recognizes anyone. Mostly women and children, but a few men are in there too. He says it's probably just from shootouts gone wrong. Serious cap. Serious cap. Men can be victims too. Yeah, men and boys can be victimized too. Sold too. Abused too. I'm pretty sure that half of the youths that are trafficked are male. I think that if you're going to write an erotic novel, sprinklings of things like child loving and traffic at the core, it would be better for everyone involved for you to have some sort of base knowledge and your facts straight, and at least portray it in a realistic, responsible, knowledgeable kind of way. But who the hell asked me anyway? Zade tells him to send the footage to him, no doubt for his personal collection, and see if they can find a view on the vehicle that they left in. Finding nothing on that front, he tells Jay to angle all the cameras toward the building for the show I'm about to put on, then get out of here. And he heads back for Dr. Garrison. He is still in the same spot, if you can believe that, gathers up some bed sheets and ties them into some sort of a noose for Dr. Dead, and tosses him out the window before lighting the whole sumbitch on fire. Holding my breath, I grab the rope made out of bed sheets, tie one end around his torso beneath his arms, and the other end to the bed frame, then I throw him out the window. The legs of the frame scream against the cement floor as it drags a few feet from holding tight. Didn't he say he was, quote, well into the process of decomposition? Now, rigor mortis may have set in that kept his arms just from flopping up over his head, allowing him to just floop right out of that whole rope situation. But rigor mortis usually goes away after 36 hours. And since Adeline has been missing for 12 days, I'd say we're well onto the next stage of decomposition, which is putrefaction. Now, if I had a screen, I'd show you some graphs here. This is the stage where all the muscle tissues and organs start breaking down and releasing liquid and gases and causing the corpse to bloat and get all mushy. Yum! So tying something around his torso and tossing him out the window, where gravity will no doubt play a role in how that goes down, literally, this wouldn't work. He would fall to pieces or burst from the excessive fluids, and this stuff right here that I just said to you took me about 0.36 seconds to search the stages of decomposition and confirmed the hunch that I already had that this, what? Makes no goddamn sense.
What the hell?
Yeah. He starts to leave, but he takes one more look over his shoulder at the inferno that he breathed life into. And he puffs on a cigarette. His little mouse doesn't like littering, but maybe just this once, it's fine with her. We end this chapter with another gorgeous little note. Remember, Adeline is journaling now. We love when she is in her element, aka writing. She is very clearly delightful writer. She is detailing how during a practice run of the culling with Franchesca cosplaying as their hunters, Sydney, oh so totally sabotaged Adeline and tripped her, resulting in her taking some of those plastic arrows to the leg. I don't remember. But I am not an arrow crossbow kind of girl. I'm sure that's shocking, but I'm going to ask the audience, do we think she meant rubber arrows, not plastic? Because I feel like a plastic arrow would still pierce someone and could essentially kill someone if they are hit in the right place. But rubber things like that, rubber bullets, are meant to be more of like a substitute for the real thing for practice runs such as this. You let me know, because I simply don't. Chapter 12, The Diamond. So we open this chapter to find Sydney taunting Adeline. What's it feel like to be a failure? Goddamn, Sydney. LOL. But like, I would like an answer to that as well. They bicker back and forth, and it's dumb and boring and stupid, and I'm bored. This is so boring. This chapter basically starts out by giving us a deeper look into what the journal entry just told us. It literally just tells us the exact same thing that the journal just told us, which is pointless, and I didn't need any more details, truth be told. I got it all initially, and I didn't have any other follow-up questions. Actually, let's do a side-by-side. Okay? Journal. She sabotaged me. I'm so mad. During the practice culling, Franchesca couldn't find me and I was doing great, but then Sydney tripped me and I got hit. Thankfully, they used the plastic ones for practice. It still hurt, but it will be nothing like the pain of my punishment. Got it? This is the starting paragraph in the chapter. Francesca took us out in the back of the woods, a practice run for the culling, and she and her men used plastic arrows to track us down, shooting them at us like we're fun, running from a hunter's hungry stomach. The objective is to not get hit, and the burning in the back of my thigh is a constant reminder of how I epically failed. I came so close to succeeding, but then Sydney happened. She was waiting for me and stuck her foot right out as I passed by, Francesca's arrows nipping at my heels. I face planted into the cold earth, and by the time I got back up, an arrow was ripping through the air, piercing the back of my thigh. It didn't break the skin, but I can tell that I'm gonna wake up with a nasty bruise tomorrow, though I'm sure it'll be swallowed up by the others I'll receive when I receive my punishment. Yeah, this is why the book is 500 plus pages, because it needed an editor the way I need to sleep for 3 whole days. Anyway, more back and forth between the two dorks. Why does she like being here? Why would you want to stay here? What is your problem with me? Apparently, Sydney doesn't like her because Franchesca spoke really highly of her and even took her punishment for her after she punched Rocco in the face, which she never does for other girls. Okay, I started to go off here, and who cares? Let's just keep going. I will never get through if we don't. Sydney says some more shit about wanting to stay, and Adeline is mucking it up. Why do you want to stay here so badly? Because it's my home. I have nothing outside of this house, and I would rather be here than stuck with some fat old man with a worm dick, and you are ruining that. I blink. Interesting depiction, but not entirely wrong either. You get art here too, Sydney. It's not so bad. It's what I'm used to and comfortable with. Another blink. How could one settle into a life of being art and beaten is beyond me? But she's hinted at having nowhere else to go. This tells me life outside of this house for Sydney is bleak, non-existent, most likely filled with nights on the streets and random men. Do you think that Adeline blinks like a cartoon character and you can hear her blink? Time skip. Laughter from downstairs. Apparently Rocco and Franny are the only ones who actually live here, but they invite their friends over to chill and are women, whatever. They're also letting Rick and Rio crash since they can't leave the ground, lest they suffer the wrath of the megalodon, who is literally almost half a month off their trail. He is nowhere near finding. But they're such good hosts. They line up and Francesca approaches, but Adeline takes a second to think. I hate it when she does that. I wonder if she puts so much effort into making the outside look pretty because her insides are a cemetery of bones and decay. She should have looked into becoming a mortician with the way she's so good at dressing up a corpse. Sick burn, Adeline. But no, silly. She puts that much effort into her appearance because she lives in a fucked up salad of depravity. Doy. Bunk. Almost as if Franny could hear her sick burn, she makes Adeline kiss her shoes, then lick her shoes. She hesitates, and then Francesca threatens to smash her face into the ground. Again, counterproductive to the whole keep her in good condition thing. But oh, fart! No one cares. Sydney, is being so annoying, so Franchesca slaps her and threatens to shove her whole foot up her ass. I think Franchesca might have a foot-ass thing. More to come. Isn't that delicious? More thinking on Adeline's part. Was Sydney an average girl before she was stolen away? Did she live a normal life, have a job, friends, and go out on the weekends to find a fling? She just told you she has nothing on the outside. You just described her existence as bleak and non-existent. She said she would prefer this house to what she had when she was living wild and free. But yeah, I wonder. Time skip again. More training. What fun. They're served dinner, soup, and crackers. I am hungry. Too bad there's nothing to eat here. They serve it to them in their room, and Adeline tells us, apparently even sex traffickers are fat phobic and body shame women. Never mind that they can't get unless they literally steal it. It's delightful. I'm wrong. They did serve us a meal tonight. I mean, they did just carve a growth off of a girl's face, but yuck, fat phobia. You know, if you keep shoving these little asides in to your shitty book in hopes of over-explaining something to try and make it mean something, it just might work one of these times, huh, yuck? Francesca storms into Adeline's room, enraged, just as she was finishing her soup. Thank goodness she got to eat. Apparently, all of Francesca's shoes have been destroyed, and Adeline is to blame. So what does Franchesca do to punish her? That's a great question. I'm so glad you asked. Well, naturally, she R's her with the heel of her shoe. What did you think I was going to say? She leaves Adeline alone in her room, crying. Sydney slinks in and says, "It's okay, welcome home."
Beat it, doofus.
What is the point of this? And the men in the house throughout the rest of the night and maybe some other days, I don't know. Time is nothing in this book. They apparently stop by and have time with her too, if you get me. She is going through it. And so am I, because journal entry where Adeline exposits about pain and it's given, do you know what it sounds like to drown? Apparently Rocco and his friends, like I said, took turns with her all night after the shoe incident. Chapter 13, we're back with Zade. Jay's like, they deal in the black market. And Zade and I are both like, who's they? Them. They call themselves the Basilisk Brotherhood, widely known in the black market for trading human organs. Riker, Dare, Case, and Slade.
No, Slade, huh?
No one knows their real last names. Before you get all growly and go on a killing spree, Tony the Tiger, there's been some talk that they aren't actually as bad as they're making themselves out to be. I shoot Jay a look, but he ignores me. I'm scarier than Tony the Tiger, and he knows it. Bitch, I'm scarier than Tony the Tiger. Are we okay? But alas, okay, we have some real bad dudes with some really elite names that aren't as bad as they seem, question mark? I doubt this will turn into something stupid. I fully believe this is gonna go the distance. Zade gets a view of these guys and gives us more of what we didn't ask for. He's interesting looking, with sharp features, long hair that seems to always be tied up, pale green eyes, light stubble, and a nose piercing. Type of face women would fall to their knees for. How often do you think that women of the world are just dropping to their knees upon the sight of a beautiful man? Should we start wearing knee pads in this little scenario of yours? Because there are beautiful men everywhere. But okay, the other three certainly aren't hurting for either, though they're all incredibly different from each other. Definitely not real brothers, though I'm sure they act like it. You'll get along with them great, Jay says over my shoulder. You're all in a business where being obscure is key, yet each one of you stands out like a lollipop amongst moldy bread. Very lickable lollipops too. Yeah, whatever. I didn't ask to be beautiful. So glad we made Jay into girly pop by icon just so we could have yet another person in the cast that is thirsty for Zade. Apparently they traced these men's movements to the house of an older woman with a Monroe piercing and dark red lipstick named Teresa, known affectionately to the guys as Mama T. I guess that's Z's first stop. Jay is worried though. Like, if he confronts Mama T in hopes of getting help from the Basilisk Brotherhood, he might just piss them off. And Zade is like, do I look scared? And Jay is like, oh, we know you're a bad bitch, Zade. That's not the point. Bad bitches only. Zade said, don't worry, the ladies love me. And time skip us all the way to Mama T's house. He just barges right in. And she is ready to knock his block off. But eventually he tells her why he needs help. She calls the boys over and Zade still has a minute for some topical, absolutely side-splitting comic relief. Cream walls with matching couches, maroon flower pictures spaced out perfectly, matching wooden furniture, the brown surface is gleaming as if she dusted them not 2 seconds ago, and a white birdcage hanging in the corner, a little Tweety chirping away. Does she have a Sylvester too? That's a good one, Z. Sylvester and Tweety haven't actively been on the air for I don't know how long, but that is a funny joke. She tells him to call her Mama T, and he is thrilled because he has been accepted. Told you the ladies love me. Time skip again. The boys roll up to defend Teresa. She's like, calm down. He's cool. And they're like, what is this? And he's like, I'm Z. And they're like, the Z? And he's like, yeah, need your help. Teresa is sick of them, so she tells them like to leave so she can nap. And they tell Z that now isn't a good time. They were kind of in the middle of something, so they snatch up a receipt and write down a rendezvous spot on the back of it. But Natalie, that sounds boring. Allow me. Straightening, he hands a slip of paper to me. You caught us in the middle of something. Meet us at this address in 4 hours. Don't be late. Now get out. I arch a brow when I spot hemorrhoid cream on the receipt, but quickly decide it's not my business what's growing on Teresa's ass.
This is your man.
Yes,
Look at the screen.
that's mine.
I'll be early. Bye, Mama T. Good luck, she calls. I wave a hand in acknowledgement before opening and shutting the front door behind me. I don't need luck, just the help of 4 men who are probably going to be enough pains in my ass that I'll need the hemorrhoid cream next. The jokes are joking. Seriously, like, you must be joking. Chapter 14 is Adeline. Aren't we so excited? This chapter made me cry. I just wanted to be upfront, full disclosure. For those of you who don't know, one of the paid perks of joining my Bindery page, Boneyard Picnic, is you get access to unscripted reading vlogs of me reading these awful things in preparation for the Rant review. So you get to see these books happen to me in real life. And it's a real treat. Links are below if you're interested. But for those of you who aren't, you're about to see what brought me to tears thrice. And I hope you're hungry for stupid. So we start this chapter off with Addie lost in a dream being I'm sorry, made love to by Zade. Gross, thanks. She wakes and is greeted by a beautiful day. The phantom in the sky really is a devil. Why else would she make such a gruesome day so bright and sunny? Today is the culling, and already the house seems to be filling up with chatter. To make matters worse, my body doesn't feel nearly as broken as I thought it would. My soul completely shattered, but at least I can fart without feeling like I'm gonna pass out, right? I'm not going to cry this time. I'm not going to cry again. What a I guess that's a win, but she goes on. So thank you, God, for the small blessings in life and for allowing me to see another day and pass gas properly. Amen, bitch. This is why I cried. Between the hemorrhoids and the shove it up your butt and the farting car and what am I to do aside from weep at what you've done to me? She goes on business as usual through the morning. She did finally get Franchesca to realize that it was Sydney that ruined all of her shoes and blamed it on her. Franchesca hasn't even said sorry for all the torment she wrongfully unleashed on Addie. She didn't apologize. She didn't even appear remorseful, but she did lock Sydney in an old cellar on the property for an entire day, and I'm almost ashamed to admit how much it soothed my soul to hear her screaming to be let out. Already I'm changing, and the old Addie is unrecognizable. But at least your butthole can fart, right? Anyway, time passes, and the girls are corralled into a room to start getting ready for the culling, which they apparently now have to do in the dark. We're so effed. Time skip. They're led downstairs. Single file, ladies. We must be in a uniform line to greet your potential arists. Make a good impression, and they might be nice to you while they are you. Funny thing to include in a book where women start to have feelings for their actual rapists. Remind me why being arred by these rich, powerful men is worse than being arred by another rich, powerful man? Is it because an exchange of currency is taking place? Like, is this an extremely scathing manifesto on capitalism? No, it isn't. It's just poorly written bullshit. Upon entering the room, she spots 5 men. This house is run down, and it doesn't matter how clean or tidy it is. It still looks like trash, and there are 5 men standing in the middle of it wearing Armani suits, diamond-encrusted Rolex watches, and submerged in a shroud of expensive cologne that costs more than my car note. Their conversation dies as soon as they turn to us, and I realize the different colors in their eyes look the same when they're all lifeless. I have a question. Are they going to be hunting in suits? Are they the tearaway kind that reveal athleisure beneath? Seems impractical, but sure. One of the men, named Xavier Delano, is the one who wants Adeline. Even though she has a lot of healing to do, she wouldn't if y'all would start actually doing what she said and let her heal. After the men decide which of the girls they want, they are led outside towards this large wooded area. A massive bonfire rages directly behind the house, dozens of people crowded around it, bundled in warm clothing and drinks in hand.
There are also several large TVs placed sporadically around. According to Franchesca, the hunters will wear body cams, providing entertainment and viewing pleasure for the other guests. Are they tailgating the culling? I went to one tailgate one time. I went to Ole Miss with a friend that invited me, and I gotta be honest with you, I missed out on a lot. And when I went to college, like when I was college aged and in college right out of high school, I didn't do things like this because I was edgy and into music and like bands you probably never heard of and stuff like that. And if I could go back and just knock the shit out of myself, I would. There's free food there. All kinds of free food. These people have outdoor televisions that they bring with them so that they can, we're getting off the subject, but I just wanted you to know, if you're watching me and you're in college and you're too cool to be involved, there's free food. Did you know there's free food? The girls get into position and Adeline notices the men getting ready with the bows and arrows and night vision goggles. All right, ladies, Franchesca starts. Let's go over the rules briefly. You will be given a 10-minute head start. You are required to stay within the maze walls. If caught going outside them, it will result in immediate death. They will shoot to and not shoot to maim. At the end of the maze, there's an open area, and if you reach this location, you are immediately deemed safe. No harm will come to you. Finally, if you're still within the maze but have not been shot and the allotted hour depletes, you are also safe and no harm will come to you. Understood?
What is the point of this?
So you're telling me that these girls you are trafficking and hoping to get a lot of money for, if they try to escape, you will just take them out? Where is the return on that investment? Like, time and energy have been used towards getting these girls here. How is this smart as far as your business plan is concerned? I need to take a look at your business plan. Also, a maze, huh? So this is like the Hunger Games and the Goblet of Fire, particularly the maze part. And I feel like Rachel just had a similar setup in a book she was reviewing on her channel. I beg you guys, just branch out a little bit. Just a little bit more cook time, you know? Just let it simmer for a little while and see if you can come up with something else, something creative, something that branches a little bit farther out, pushes a little bit further, you know? No? Okay. Speaking of the Hunger Games, and I quote, how's it said in the Hunger Games? May the odds be ever in your favor. A male cuts in and it sounds like Xavier. This is so unforgivable. I don't even know where to begin. So I'm going to summarize the actual event because it was dumb, and if I wanted to watch the Hunger Games, I would. I should. I might. The girls run. One of the younger girls, named Phoebe, sticks close with Adeline the whole damn time, even though she's dumb and might get them both caught. She does end up leading a couple of men to their location, I think, but I also don't get it because if this is a maze, wouldn't they just have to follow the paths? Like, they speak like it's this big open area, but they call it a maze. I don't know if the author knows what words mean. Phoebe actually does get hit by an arrow in the shoulder at some point. I don't know. Anyway, one of the men, Ben, comes after Phoebe, and Phoebe tells Adeline to run. She manages to get away too, and Ben follows her a little bit, and then he gets snared in some sort of trap that Phoebe had planned for him to step into, and he gets strung upside down and drops his bow and arrow. So Phoebe grabs the weapon and right in the head, causing his life to end and a river of blood to rain down on her. Once more, she meets my wide stare. So many words rise to the tip of my tongue, none of them sufficient. Goosebumps rise on my skin. And all I want to do is tell her how proud I am, how admirable and brave she is. We both know she's not going to make it through the night, but this was her choice. Her choice, huh? I guess that's better. Also, imagine being so self-involved that all you think of in this moment is wanting to grace this battered, dying girl with your approval and admiration. Like, no one cares, Adeline. She keeps running. These men may be skilled in hunting, but what they don't know is that I've been hunted by a far scarier man. I was a mouse caught in a trap, scared and helpless as I was, taken between the teeth of an apex predator. But I'm not their little mouse, and they are not Zade, and I will never succumb to them. First of all, who's gonna tell her that she was caught by him also? These men don't know that I've been hunted by the best of the best of the best, sir! And they are nothing. He caught you too. He caught you too. This isn't a weird flex. This isn't even a flex. It's delusional. And just another little opportunity for you to try to remind me that for some reason, Zade victimizing her is different. Also, I don't think these men give a Chapter 15, Adeline again. I am having so much fun with our girl. I swear it. She made it out of the maze and she spots something off to the side. It's an abandoned train. A massive row of trailers stretch across the wooded area in either direction. The metal rusted and corroded from nature. My heart pounds and excitement blooms. Escape. She wonders if they know about it, but doesn't matter because she has a tracker in her neck anyway. However, let's back up. Boop, boop, boop. Of course they
know about it. This is the designated safe zone outside of an even bigger surrounding area where a sadistic sporting event was just planned and held. They've done this before. They prepare it and maintain it for each culling and each group of girls. I'm pretty sure they know about every inch of this place. Hello? I would like to speak to just anyone smart. Please. Please. I would also like to ask someone, preferably someone who's smart, to tell me how a rusty train can be used as escape. Clearly, it is not unlike the book. Off the rails. Would you just use the track, like follow the track to safety? Because that would also be dangerous and stupid, because then they too could just follow the track. This girl is dumber than Dreyerland. She decides not to try and bust out of here just yet. She also meets another girl that made it to the safe zone, and she starts to warn Adeline about what's to come after, but they're cut off because Xavier comes out of the woods and offers to escort them back to the house, I guess. Jillian and I glance at each other, but ultimately we nod our heads, because what else are we supposed to say? No, go away. You have cooties. Cooties, says she. Why is she 14? You're expecting me to believe this is a mid-20s woman. Anyway, they get back to the house, and Franchesca is so pleased at how many of them will move on to the next part of all of this. Apparently, the ones who didn't make it out of the culling are no longer worthy of being sold and will be punished for it later. But for now, the girls get to celebrate. How? As a reward, you ladies will get to pick dinner tonight, whatever you want. McDonald's even. Though that stuff is horrendous for your bodies, but just this one should be okay. We survived the culling and we get McDonald's as a reward? It's too stupid to be real. Took the words right out of my goddamn mouth, bitch. It is too stupid to be real. This entire book is too stupid to be real, but here we are. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. I'm hating it. Time skip. They ate their McDonald's. Isn't that nice? And are now getting dressed, more specifically being like squished into a corset and a little skanky dress. Slay. Franchesca ties the knot and then helps me slip the dress over my head. The same dress that all of us are required to wear. A black silky number that accentuates my curves. My now greatly exaggerated curves. The material ends right below my ass cheeks. A butterfly could flutter by and my dress would fly up as if it's allergic to the winged creature. If I pass gas, it's over. Now I can't really be surprised at this juncture. Right? Like, this is the same author in the same series where the word boogers was written the first time our love interest spots Adeline across a crowded room and becomes infatuated with her. We remember. So I thought I'd just sidestep this little slice here so that we can have a discussion, because I get a lot of comments. They're like, if you don't like dark books, don't read them. If you can't handle the dark matter, then try a regular romance. It's not the dark stuff, honey baby. It's the dumb stuff. It's this. This book is dumb. It's dumber than it's ever been. And here we are doing it all over again. Dumb. And again, as I said, if this is a book that is very cathartic for you to read, fine. And it's also okay to just admit that some of the things that you like are shitty. I'm reading a book right now that I'm pretty sure is bad. It's just not well done. But I'm having a good time with it. Also, elaborate. What is over if you fart? Will the dress disintegrate? Is it made of spider webs? Will you die of embarrassment? Will the little stink lines come off your ass like SpongeBob after he ate the sundae? Will your booty wind just be so potent and accessible to the buyers that they'll dip out? What is it that will be over? Also, I just have to giggle a little bit because I wrote this script before the new covers were released, and I just said, not real sure why the butterflies are so prominent in the new design, and then we get, a butterfly could flutter by. She carries on getting ready, and Sydney offers to help her do her hair, which she begrudgingly accepts, and we get this little exchange where Sydney is bragging that even though Rio likes Adeline, he comes into her room at night and bangs her instead, and Adeline, like myself, doesn't give a shit about what she's saying. And then they get on the topic of Zade, and Sydney's like, will he save me too? If he does, she'd be happy to suck him off, maybe even let her F her A as a thank you. Adeline snaps and throws her into the vanity mirror. Franchesca comes back and sees Sydney sprawled all out and is like, what the heck happened? Her brown eyes assess me closely, but the adrenaline has taken hold of my bloodstream and all I can feel is elation. Heat has warmed every inch of my body, sinking low in my stomach. If Zade were here, I forced those thoughts out of my head before they sweep me away. If I let that happen, I'd be humping the air. And not only would that be fucking embarrassing, but I'm also in the #1 worst place in the world to get horny. That was great. I'm really glad that I got to read that. And I hope you out there watching at home are thankful too. We have experienced true art. She's horny?
about throwing someone into a vanity mirror. It's odd. Seems odd. Anyway, Franchesca tells them not to make fools of themselves tonight with the buyers. End of chapter. Chapter 16 is Zade. Ugh. He goes to meet the Basilisk Brotherhood in their super secret lair that is actually a towering skyscraper that used to be some sort of bank and a place that they willingly wrote directions to on a hemorrhoid receipt. So how super secret can it be? Anyway, he waltzes in and they begin to chat. You have 2 minutes to explain what the hell you want, Riker says. Well, no pressure, right? I widen my stance and cross my arms, appearing at ease. It doesn't seem at ease. Long story short, my girl was kidnapped by the society, sold off into the skin trade. You're Z. You can't find her. Case here asks a stunning question. He may be the only one with an active brain cell in this story thus far because I've been saying the same thing. He went on and on about how he is inevitable, he's Thanos, he's God, he's Diet Coke with True Lime, but you can't find her? I'm everything. I have a secret underground lair. Nobody can ever find me. I erase the police reports. My dick is as big as the equator. No one can stand toe-to-toe with me. You can't find her? Dumb, makes no sense, goes against everything you've spent the last 600 pages building this character to be. But whatever, Zade is not happy about being questioned. I'm capable of a lot of things, Case, I say quietly, unleashing a little bit of darkness that's been festering inside my body, including finding exactly where your twin sister stays. Claremont Drive, right? Her twin girls, Casey and Carla, are getting so big already. 11 years old, am I right? Hold the horses. Zade, now that almost sounds like a threat. Almost, maybe. But you wouldn't do that. You're the Starker and RS and QAnon superhero with a heart of gold that definitely doesn't have a thing for underage girls, even though she is a 26-year-old toddler. And you watch the tapes over and over when you don't have to. Threatening 11-year-old girls. But you love 11-year-old girls in a totally appropriate way. Of course.
Of course. Of course.
This just doesn't seem like something a good guy like you would do, but I bet no one cares. Once again, I'm alone. He catches them up. Once they're still like, I don't know why you're coming to us. I don't know what you need us for. We literally do things like this too. We're bad people. We're in the skin trade and you're Z. I don't really know what you're doing here. They apparently sell organs on the black market. You're coming to people in the same line of work for help. And Zade's like, I'm willing to overlook it this time. That's not hypocritical at all. I will say that the most consistent thing about him thus far is that he is a hypocrite. He hunts down predators and abusers of women, but when he abuses and R's Adeline, it's fine. He puts away and ends the reign of terrible criminals who sell human beings, but not right now because they might be useful to him. Both of these things prove that he's an opportunistic, hypocritical moron who has no loyalty or actual human feelings whatsoever, and this is what it looks like to be consistent with your character development. I doubt it was intentional, nor will it matter, because at the end of the day, we are all just little hot springs when it comes to this man, am I right? Ugh. They lead him further into their lair, aka a bachelor's wet dream, which, remember, they're organ traders with hearts of gold, apparently, so they're not as bad as they seem. We're getting a lot of this junk lately, and yet there is a young woman almost completely nude chained to a wall of this bachelor's wet dream pad super secret lair. Zade has some thoughts, if you can call it that. I think Addie would soon rip my balls off before she'd ever kneel at my feet. Lucky for her, I'd gladly kneel at her. Kiss her little toes while I'm at it, too. Eventually, my mouth would lead up between her legs, but I don't think she'd mind that part. Would it matter if Adeline did mind you doing that? Because it has never mattered, not once in the past. When you guys mix it up, you just are her anyway. Something to think about. No, don't do it. Don't think about it. We have gone almost 800 pages now with no thought, head empty. Let's just stay the course. They ask what's in it for us, and he's like, I'll write you an IOU, and it means a lot coming from me. It would mean a lot, homie, if you didn't just openly admit that you can't manage this by yourself. But he grabs a paper and jots down an IOU on it because he's so funny. First off, don't write on people's shit. Secondly, you're kidding me, right? We don't need you. I grin. Is he nervous that I might find hemorrhoid cream on his receipts, too? I'm not gonna cry on it. Then Zade asks the question, I guess, how are they still good guys if they're in the organ trade? And they explain it, and it's long and it's boring, so here's some cliff notes. She says, knowing that there are hours of content left to be had. Apparently, they only take organs from dying or deceased folks or people who want to end their life on their own terms and give their consent to take their stuff. If someone brings a living person to them, they let them go back to their family. And as for the buyers, people who are desperate for the organs to save their family members or whatever, you're still trafficking organs on the black market. And you have a woman chained to the wall. And this might be a kinky thing, but again, remember which book we're in. Remember which universe we're in. The money that they make, some of it goes to the family if that's what they wished, but some of these miserable souls have no family, so they don't care what we do with it as long as it's helping someone.
Is that how you're able to have a naked woman chained to the wall asking for a friend?
End of chapter. My God, this is so stupid. Chapter 17 is Adeline. Franchesca secured yet another tracking device to her in the form of a necklace that is locked with a key, whatever. The girls hit the dance floor. Xavier shows up and Adeline is unwell, literally. Heat washes throughout my body, but not the kind that feels good. It's kind of like when you have a stomach bug and you're stuck in a car. The cold sweat is sickening. Now, I know she has a long list of things that she needs to get done when she's out of this whole rigmarole, but one of the top things on the list needs to be that she needs to seek out a gastrointestinal specialist. They need to take a look at her. She is seriously way too aware of her own butthole and gastrointestinal tract. Like, this man who intends to buy her for his own personal use comes close to her and she compares it to having diarrhea in the car, cold sweating as she tries to make it to a gas station so she doesn't blow it out her asshole. See someone. Also, why is this my problem? I don't want to hear anymore. Stop telling me. They chit chat. It's boring.
He takes a step closer to me, his woodsy cologne burning my sinuses as he invades my space. I want to tell him to get the out of my no-no square, but I can't imagine that going over well.
Farting, butthole, cooties, no-no square. As I said in my vlog, join the channel if you'd like access. I know the old adage, sticks and stones, right? But no, words hurt. These words have hurt me spiritually, metaphysically. This is just some of the worst writing I have ever seen in a book ever, and I am in hurt. Xavier's being extra weird, talking about how he's such a good time that she'll forget all about Z, causing Addie to need to take a knee with her female lord again, and she thinks, what the does he expect me to say to that?
Yes, PDF file master, I would forget all about Zade and only think of you and your small, puny out of here head.
If he's a PDF file master and he selected you, and if he was hot, right? Stay with me. If he was hot and his cock was big and thunderous, would it make you happy about this whole thing? Would this be a little bit easier to deal with?
What if I throw in a facial scar?
Rio shows up and says that he's tasked with changing her bandages yet again before the rest of the evening's events and escorts her upstairs to do so.
Adeline's like, that's not true. They already changed my bandages. What the heck is this?
And I have a question too, Addie. If you're still all bandaged and stitched up in such a way, how is the corset going to help make sure those wounds aren't agitated? I am begging for a smart person to help me. They aren't. Because nothing makes sense, everything's made up, and the points don't matter. Boop! Rio fixes her up, tosses in a few Spanish words to show us that we're really cooking with gas with this characterization. And he tells us why he's doing this. Apparently, a family member, I think it was his sister, is in their clutches. And if he steps out of line, they'll unalive her. I don't know. I don't care. This is all so futile. She goes back downstairs and meets everybody in the red room, whatever that is. I'm thinking of the red room of pain from 50 Shades, but that's probably because I'm currently rereading 50 Shades. You're welcome in advance. They bring up the two girls that were taken out in the culling, or what's left of them anyway. They're still alive. They were tortured and mutilated by their men for losing, apparently. And now the remaining girls are tasked with literally taking them out back and stoning them to death. So these girls were taken down in the maze, right? Deeming them unworthy of being sold. So does that mean that these men just showed up, picked a girl, got to chase, shoot, and torture them for free? Like, they've never discussed a price tag on just attending the culling or participating in the culling. Somebody needs to send me the PDF of this business model.
Chapter 18, Adeline. Ooh.
All of this is very detailed, but I'm going to breeze right through it because it's my review and I do what I want. They go outside, the girls, the guests, the buyers, everyone. It's a party, after all. Rocco emerges from the house carrying large rocks for all the girls to use to end the other girls. But our girl, No, she won't do it like this. She's literally risking it all to lean down and whisper how thankful she was for Phoebe for saving her and that she won't let her suffer, and then stabs her in the neck with a branch and thinks,
Someone's daughter died today.
Rocco starts to rush her and try to get her to stop, but it doesn't keep her from it. I can vividly see this. Everything slows down and we zoom in and there's a single note being sung softly in the distance. I can vividly see it. Doesn't make it any less stupid. I'm fine with not letting her suffer on the way out. Fine. But this whole book is corny, stupid, goofy. It feels like a scary movie when Carmen Electra is being chased by Ghostface and she's literally running for her life. But she has to take a moment to slow-mo run through the sprinklers in her underwear. That's how goofy this shit is. But it's hot. It's meant to be hot. Everybody's hot. Time skip 2 months later. As my friends across the pond would say, are you having a giggle? He still hasn't found her. It's been 2 freaking months and he enlisted help? This is absolutely stupid. This man is useless. All of those self-bloviations, pages and pages and pages about being the megalodon, how he's unstoppable, no one can touch me, blah, blah, blah. He still hasn't found his girl. What a joke.
She's getting dolled up for another night with Xavier. Now, I haven't been placed up for
adoption.
I haven't been placed up for auction yet. Franchesca says I'm almost ready and that when the time comes, Xavier will ensure he's the highest bidder. It's unofficially official that he will be my master. Because of this, Franchesca has allowed him to visit me once a week for the past month.
Pull the Capricorn right out of me and put it front and center for you. But I'm going to revert back to my questioning about their business model.
How is this beneficial?
You run a trafficking ring where you kidnap and hold women and are supposed to take care of these women for a time so that they bring in a high price when they are eventually sold to the highest bidder. And yet, you let this man come and do whatever he wants to her for free. We have a saying around here, and by we, I mean evangelical Christians that push purity culture as part of their indoctrination.
Why buy the cow when you can get the milk for free?
Which is a very crass way of referring to young women and their virtue. But an illustrious analogy isn't that precious. Now, I don't abide by that ideology in any way, shape, or form. However, we are talking about this specific business model for this dumb-ass book. And how on earth is there a point to any of this if you just let men show up and are these women for free?
I mean, it makes absolutely no goddamn sense, but just add it to the list of things that make no sense.
She takes a moment to tell us that Xavier enjoys drawing blood during these encounters and shares this little thing.
When's the last time I genuinely smiled? The last night I was with Zade, I think, however long ago that was. I believe it's January now, and the last time I saw him was not too long after Satan's affair. I missed my first holidays with him. Thanksgiving and Christmas, maybe even his birthday, although I don't even know when that is. My New Year's kiss was Xavier's down my throat, and if I didn't have a desire to unalive myself before I did, then
thank you for sharing. I recognize that this is probably hell on earth. Yeah.
So instead of Zade R-ing you under the Christmas tree lights, Xavier did it. That's all I heard.
That's honestly what I heard. Then she takes out a lipstick and draws an extreme clownish smile onto her face.
Turns out the Joker had the right idea.
Oh my God, please, dear God, I beg you, not the Joker. Please, please, please.
Please, please, please.
And when Franchesca catches her, she's like, well, what the fuck are you doing? And she's like,
sorry, Franchesca. I just wanted to smile. Wipe that off and get ready. Xavier will be here in 10 minutes. Sad. No smiles for me tonight.
Big sad indeed.
Can I get a sad ooh woo?
Xavier shows up to have some fun, and by fun I mean slicing her up with a knife because he wants to cover her in red. We're having a lot of fun. Yeah.
I'm covered in red.
Mm-hmm.
He's made so many cuts around my body that I've turned the white bed sheets scarlet.
She vividly shares the literal ins and outs of this encounter from the knife to the sausage. He says a bunch of stuff, including requesting her say that she wants him, and she's dissociating, and I don't blame her.
He snarls, hearing the vacancy in my voice, and buries himself inside me. So if he thinks he's deep, I'd hate for him to see the size of Zade. The only reason his will ever cause me pain is purely because it's attached to him.
I don't know what just happened there. I hate this. Sick burn, though, Addie. Sick burn. So she is being consistently and actively arred and mutilated by this man, seemingly for free, though she is supposed to be bringing the big bucks. But what's really worth noting is that her other artist, Zade, has a bigger I understand being victimized. I understand that when you're in that space, you go wherever you need to in order to protect yourself, shield yourself from what's going on and what's happening to you. I get that. What I don't get is why this is the place we have to go to. He is literally cutting you up and assaulting you in every way imaginable. But your comfort is the Vienna sausage of your OG artist. Okay, whatever. Not judging your healing, not judging your coping skills. To make matters worse, he ends their time together by forcing her to climax with him. How grim.
Xavier just left for the night. He was particularly brutal, slicing over the healed scars on my back and all across my breast and stomach. He pushes it a little farther every time. Forgive me. I know this is a tough time for everyone, but
What is the point of this?
I will scream that and play that forever until someone starts making some goddamn sense around here. It doesn't even make sense that they need to be kept in good shape, but are brutally attacked and beaten when they're being held and forced to participate in the most dangerous game-style hunt, which could render them unable to be sold in the first place. And then the guy who's set to be her buyer and set to pay a high price for her gets to just come over willy-nilly whenever he wants and do whatever he wants to her, including mutilating her further, free of charge.
What is the point of this?
Well, the point, gals and pals, is to fill up 500 pages with gobbledygook. This is such shit, dude. This book is actual ass. A big, farty, hemorrhoid-infested butthole, and if you like it, you can have it. Please, I literally take it from mine hands. I don't mind. I really don't. I don't want it. You can have it. Good for you. This is the worst thing I've ever read. Rio shows up, cares for her wounds, sprinkles some more Spanish jargon into the dialogue, and lets her know, lucky for you, these have to heal, so no more nights with him until he's officially paid for you. Confirming that this man was just getting access to her for free. What is this? 2 girls just got sold off. It's just her and Sydney left in the house, but now new girls will arrive soon and she will be auctioned off in 3 weeks apparently. Who knows? She doesn't know why they're taking so long. I predict it's for no reason whatsoever except to prolong my misery while reading it, or they somehow aren't as bad as they seem. H.D. Carlton loves writing a tiny little redemption blip into the stories of these awful people for literally no reason whatsoever, so it's anyone's guess. He finishes bandaging her wounds. She says, "Try not to miss me too much." And he says, "I'll pray your life is short." And she thinks that's just really sweet of him to say. Franchesca comes in and says to hurry up because Claire is coming and she wants to talk to Adeline. Uh-oh. Then we wrap the chapter with a journal entry that is simply a regurgitation of all the vicious things that were done in this chapter. I mean, it's your journal. Again, I'm not going to harp on your coping skills. I don't want to dictate how you use your coping mechanism. But I don't know why I needed to see this multiple times. Side note, again, I'm going to raise a question that I've already asked a couple times. When she said not to worry over the long reunion because there would still be plenty of spice, is this said spice? Is this the spice that she spoke of? How fun for us. Why not, I guess? Got to get those page counts up somehow. Chapter 19, Zade, 1 week ago. I don't know what that means, but go with me as we try to figure it out. Is this 1 week later, 2 months ago? Did we reset back to that timeline? Or is this 1 week later after we jump 2 months into the future? No idea. This chapter has very few notes. Zade is at a people auction and he has bought 5 girls so far in total. 5 out of the 5 on the auction block. They're all coming home with me. He's scoping out the auctions in hopes of finding someone who knows Adeline or Adeline herself, but whoever has her is being really smart and not moving her. So he collects his squirrels and gets them to safety and then proceeds to round up every individual involved with this auction and set them on fire. He gets in the car with Ruby and some other folks and help him get the girls. And the girls are like, "Did you unalive them?" And he's like, "Yeah, you got anyone else you need?" And one of the girls is like, "I got a few." He shows them a picture of Addie and they're like, "Yeah, that's her. We saw her. She's blah, blah, blah." They were blindfolded, but somehow know the general area that she was being held about an hour away somewhere. And they already have someone willing to purchase her named Xavier. He thanks them, asks the other girl if she has anybody that she needs him to unalive. And she says, "No, I have enough blood on my hands." And he's like, "Funny. I never have enough on mine." Okay, sport. We know. Chapter 20 is Adeline. "Claire? Who's a Claire?" And Rio tells her, "Claire's the one who put the target on your head," keeping his voice an octave above a whisper. Real quick, gonna let you know something stupid, and it's not anywhere near the worst thing that we've come across, but octave is not correct. So I asked my husband about this because my 2 years of playing clarinet, like Squidward tentacles of middle school, was enough for me to go like pause at this and make me confused, but not enough to make me certain. So according to my husband, an octave is like the sound, like What she meant was decibel. Shit. And this is the least of our worries and the least stupid mistake that could have been in. But even I, with a rudimentary level of musical knowledge, I can't even read notes. I knew that this was wrong. But hey, props to the editor. And hey, listen, buds, the writing process for this book was just to put words on paper. Anything more than that, and it would have been a very fun book, right? I mean, thinking is hard, and it's not fun. I swear people are just out here dreaming it, thinking it, and doing it, but completely bypassing step number 2. Y'all missed a step. You went from dream it to do it, and never once thought for a second. I have no idea who this woman is, but it's clear she has some type of connection with Zade. That's the only reason a random woman would put a target on my head, right? Hi there. What? I thought Zade told her in the last book, right before he roughly took her in the woods while she was really upset and not in the mood to be Ard, but whatever, that there was already a target on her head even before he was in the picture, and it had nothing to do with him. Are we just completely going back on that plot point, or? Rio gets her dressed and leads her downstairs. My stomach twists with anxiety as I follow Rio down the hallway. A dull ache throbs between my thighs, reminding me with every step of what I'm desperately trying to forget. Something Xavier aims explicitly for. It's also a reminder that Zade may not want me anymore. Something I've come to terms with already. I never thought I'd want to lose his obsession, but how could I not? I'm filthy now. Serious cap. I haven't been putting it on very often because this book is so stupid and unserious, but this is actually a common thing in the aftermath of being Ard and SA. So let's talk about it. This feeling of being dirty, soiled, unworthy, nasty, unlovable because now you are damaged goods, so to speak. I just want to take a second to speak on that. It is very common to come up when you are dealing with this kind of violation, and I didn't want to diminish that. We're having a lot of jokes. We're having a lot of kikis here. But I hope that if you are or have dealt with this kind of thing in the past, that you have a support system in place, people who love and care for you, a therapist if you are comfortable and able to have one, etc. And please know that what happened to you is not a reflection of you, nor was there something you did to deserve such a thing. I'm really sorry that you experienced it. You didn't deserve it. You are worthy of love and good things. You are not what has happened to you. Now I can take the serious cap off and say that Addie should be very familiar with this feeling since she felt it after Zade Ard her the first time too. It just, none of this book is written with anything other than cringy edgelord bullshit on the docket. There are no other boxes to check. What could be a way of discussing the intricacies of surviving R and SA and how you internalize the hurt and how it manifests into shame and shows up in your life in different ways, etc. And how we can come back from things like that? It isn't. It's just a way for us to be gaslit further into thinking that these R's are somehow different than when Zade R's her. Take that shit somewhere else, because I, like Xavier, am not paying for this shit. She faces off with Claire. They chat a bit. Claire reveals she was never going to be auctioned off in the first place because anytime she sets foot outside the house, Zade could find her. He is the megalodon, though. He should have been able to find her regardless. I guess not, though. Anyway, they're going to go the direct sale route. Yeah, I kind of thought that was where we were headed the whole time. What a revelation! A buyer was already procured, and he promised to pay a high price. Why would we go through the trouble of publicly auctioning her off and risking her being found by Z? I literally don't need this drawn out into 20 chapters, but thanks for the food, I guess. Too bad it's moldy and covered in hemorrhoid cream. Adeline finally asks her why. Why did they target her for this? And Claire tells her that she's just such a rare beauty that it couldn't be ignored. And then when they found out she had the attention of Zade, she became much more valuable. She's excused back to her room while Claire and Franchesca continue chatting, but what Adeline's about to do is plot her escape. The time is nigh. Time skip. She's asleep, but woken by Sydney straddling her chest. What the? Sydney, I gasped, attempting to keep my voice down but failing. I'm seconds away from releasing my bladder all over the bed, my horror growing as she climbs on top of me, her blonde strands brushing across my face and blocking my vision. Oh, come on now. We can do better than that. My private parts have to tinkle so bad. I'm super duper close to leaking from my no-no square. Where's the creativity? Where was it? We just didn't even try. Sydney is like, I know you're going to try to escape, and I'm telling. Addie's like, how? Sydney points to the floorboard where the journal is. And then Adeline finally puts those pieces together that Sydney has been watching her through the walls. This was first noted in what, chapter 4? I don't remember. But I want to take a second and just say how happy I am, how thankful that H.D. Carlton does not try to convince us that Adeline is smart. I don't think that that's ever been something said about her. Anyway, she figures out that this little rabid labradoodle of a girl was lurking on the inside of her walls, and she put her plans in writing, and that is a rookie mistake. It's literally how my mom found out that I was bisexual. You never put things in writing. No. And Adeline's like, gee willikers, if Franchesca finds out I'm planning to escape and how, they'll do everything in their power to make sure I never get away. Not gonna happen. They'll have to lock me in a submarine in the middle of the damn ocean to keep me away from Zade. Sure. She and Sibby Sydney duke it out. Adeline stabs her in the neck with a pin. She likes to stab people in the neck with things. Rip to Sibby Sydney. Rio heard the commotion and comes in. He's like, what have you done? Look at me, mama. Oh, he calls her mama. I forgot. What the are you gonna do now, huh? I open my mouth at a loss for words. Finally, I just say, escape. After this, Rio cuts the tracker out of her neck, distracts the guard so she can escape and follow the train tracks to freedom. In exchange, Adeline will tell Zade the name of his sister so he can rescue her. And she's not wasting another second. But she gets dressed, moves the floorboard, retrieves the journal, sidesteps to the kitchen to grab a loud as fuck grocery sack and stuff it with water bottles and granola bars and 2 knives for protection. Not another second! She's out! They see me as a diamond because I have Zade's love. I don't think that that's what it is. But they fail to remember that's what forged me into a stone so unbreakable. He taught me a lot about myself and who I really am, but most importantly, he taught me how to persevere. Where? I'll do you one better. When? Show me. I would love to see. When and where did he do this? I admit, trauma is its own type of hell, and coming out the other side of it will change a person. I agree. But that's not what she said. She said Zade made her into who she is and taught her about who she really is. And to that I say, where? She tiptoes past a sleeping person, but oop, one of her plastic bags breaks, clattering to the floor and waking him up. He tells her to come over, bend over, and take her pants off, because of course he does. She asks if she can set her bag down first. He pouts, but says sure, so she leans down, grabs a knife, and cuts his throat. Zing! Literally. Chapter 21, Zade. He's back with the Snake Squad, researching the little info that those trafficked gals gave him about where Addie is. They somehow zero in on the abandoned train tracks and search around that area, finding a desolate house in the middle of nowhere. They check the name on the lease, and it's Rocco Bellucci. It's not familiar to him, so he calls Jillian, one of the girls that he bought that led him to Addie, and she confirms that that's the name of Franchesca's brother. He is dizzy at the prospect of getting his little mouse back. Yes! Boom! He's en route with Ruby and Daya, of all people. They're like, say less to me, I'm coming. And I'm like, say more. He doesn't actually say more because he doesn't know where he's going without Jay. But uh-oh, problemo. Who am I, Rio? Jay sent a drone over the house, and they notice that everyone on the grounds is freaking out. It looks like they are scouring the woods and the road looking for something or someone. They run into one of those good Samaritans looking for Addie. We know they're looking for Addie on their way to the house. I roll down my passenger window, and the guy bends at the waist, eyeing Daya and me with impatience. Everything okay, sir? I ask. Everything's fine. Nothing you need to worry about. Looks like you have quite a search party. Do you need help? Nah, just looking for my dog. I arch a brow. When does he not? And Daya gives him a look. You must really care about this dog. Yeah, the bitch is priceless. Now keep it moving. You got cars behind you, dickhead. Daya surmises that they're looking for Addie, and Addie is just so brave. Jay also briefs him about the culling and the fact that Xavier has been shacked up at a hotel not far from Addie, visiting her every week for a month or so. Did he need to know that right now? Like, I understand him being forthcoming with the information as you see fit, but some of this should be run through a filter, right? Like, he is in a high stress and stakes moment. He should be focused, and he tends to be a little emotionally charged and reactive, to put it nicely. This isn't the time to tell him that. Jay directs him on how to find the railroad while Zade lights up a cigarette. Be for real, once again, this is not the time. You know what this is a time for? Time for his mouse to come home so they can burn the world down together. Rah! You think he just fell out of a coconut tree? Chapter 22, Adeline. She is her way through the woods and along the railway line. She hears people calling her name, but she keeps moving in the dark when she stumbles again, and this time she just lets herself fall. Starts to give up, but doesn't because she hears Zade's voice in her head. She needs to find a place to rest and chill because she is freezing and starting to panic a little bit. She notices a ladder on one of the sides of the train cars. Great idea! And she sings, itsy bitsy spider to herself as she climbs it. She makes it to the top and collapses into sleep. And I just need to take a moment to say how smart this is. Not only is she following the straight line of the railway line right out of the woods, but now she is right on top of one of the train cars. They'll never find her. Time skip, she wakes up because she feels something on her leg. She looks down and finds a squirrel, wouldn't you know it?
A squirrel. I love squirrels.
Hi, cutie. What's your name?
Are you talking to that squirrel?
My Nana loved watching squirrels from the bay window, you know. So I'm going to call you May. Her birthday was in May, and I think she'd love you. Once again, I don't want to make fun of people when they are in high trauma moments with a lot of stress. But it's a wild squirrel on top of a train car in the middle of the woods. You know, I know she's going through a lot. She's under a lot of pressure right now. But I ask one more time, you expect me to believe that this is a fully adult woman. I simply do not. Another squirrel appears and she squeals in delight. She watches them chase after one another and then they scurry off and her loneliness returns. Deciding to forge ahead, I take a moment to gobble down a granola bar and chug half a bottle of water, determined to eat and drink sparingly. I want to throw these stupid water bottles for nearly getting me caught, but I have no idea how long I'm going to be stranded for, so I need them. Corporate needs you to find the difference between these two pictures. Yeah, they're the same picture. If this were the Hunger Games, she would have skewered those squirrels for dinner and I would be having a better time. She tries to barter with God that if she gets her through this, she can take 10 years off her life expectancy. And that'll give her 5 more years on this earth. Ma'am, you're 26. Just when she's about to leave the train car, she hears men's voices and a scuffle ensues. And it's Zade! Reunited and it feels so bad. Thank the Overlord Queen for delivering me from a den of Aris back into the loving arms of my Aris. They hold each other for a very long time. Then Daya hugs her, which, why is Daya even here? This seems dangerous, but whatever. Daya's crying and hugging her and says, "Don't you ever leave me again, madame." She was kidnapped. Okay, let's not. Anyway, she's safe now. Well,
Safer.
And that is where I'm gonna stop. Listen to me, I have 50% more of this bitch to get through. The book is warm bird shit on the windshield of a busted up Toyota Camry. And I have to get through it. And so in order to do that, I'm taking breaks. So this is part 1, and I hope to see you back for part 2. I'm going to get through it. So help me, the female lord. So along the theme of self-care, I bid you farewell for now. This is not goodbye. This is just see you later. And I will see you in the next installment of Hunting Adeline. Thank you so much for watching. I love you. You don't have to say it back. Like, subscribe, follow, share if you enjoyed my content, and I'll see you in the next one.